This had to be one of the dumbest wrestling shows of all time because of the Mickie James angle. Everybody's heard about it. Some of you have seen it. I have now seen it. And at the time, I didn't realize fully, first off, what I was in store for. And second off, I didn't realize when I heard about it, and later when there was that brief clip that aired on the website, I was unaware that in the magical world of TNA, this had been taped earlier.
Yeah.
James Storm, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this right now. James Storm killed Mickie James.
It sure looked that way.
Or technically in storyline, he just tried to kill her, but she only ended up with a massive concussion. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, I believe the TNA website described as borderline criminal.
Borderline?
That's what they said.
Borderline?
Yeah.
You lie. I can't know. I must look this up.
Go check it out right now. Borderline criminal. Him pushing her off into her, what appeared to be certain death.
I'm not familiar. Maybe I'm not a legal expert of Tennessee state law or anything.
Well, maybe you should be. You wouldn't be so surprised.
Pretty sure in all states it's illegal to push people off of things.
Come on, it's Nashville. Anyway, the point was, he pushed her off supposedly to her death. We later learned it was only to her near death, a concussion. You found it?
I did not find it. I'm looking at the TNA website. It's got an ad for Impact, a couple of videos to watch, segments you can watch, a top 5, and then fall in love with Asian women.
What?
ChineseWomenDates.com.
Hold on a minute.
That's what I see.
Is this just your computer? Have you been on too many porn sites?
I have not been dating Chinese women.
ImpactWrestling.com. Let's see what comes up here.
Probably is. Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
Oh, you see too?
No, mine says hot, big-boobed blondes.
Did we swap computers?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Well, I don't see where you see it, though. I don't have that on mine.
It's on the right-hand side. Scroll down a bit.
I've got Skechers Cali.
Oh, there you go.
Free gift, in-store only. I don't have these hot, naked Asians, Vinny.
She's not naked. It's a dating site.
Oh, yeah?
But regardless, I guess this is a joke more about me than on Impact.
Okay, I got another one here.
All right.
QFC. Be inspired. Make way for flavor.
Be inspired?
I'll try one more.
Are you saying hitting
I'm just refreshing it. No, this is the Silver Reef Hotel, Casino, and Spa. Roberta Flack is playing. Vinny.
I got the same one when I hit refresh.
Oh, no.
And then I hit it again, and I get something for enjoy the internet.
Ha.
Simple, flexible protection for all your devices.
Might be a good time to clean that search history there, buddy. Where were we?
This is all so much more fun than Impact.
I got another one. Amazon Prime. How about that? I'll do one more. Frontier. How ironic.
I got Redbox.
Yep. Roberta Flack is back again. I've not got one Find Hot Asians yet, Vinny.
Progressive.
So, Amazon again. Yeah, this ain't looking good for you, buddy.
That's all. That's how you look at it.
Okay, where the fuck were we? What was I saying about...
shitty fucking wrestling show.
Mickie James. So she gets thrown to her death or whatever. It turns out it's a fucking pre-tape. James Storm, or somebody, it must have been James Storm, or I guess he had a cameraman. This guy had footage. This wouldn't be a snuff film, technically, but it would be footage of an attempted murder. And he sent it to Impact, and they just played it throughout the show. And worse, they teased the climax until the end. What cocks?
Yeah.
Some producer there got a tape and went, sweet Jesus, James Storm, he fucking killed Mickie James. I got to splice this up and put it throughout the show. Man, by the second hour, think of the audience we'll have built with this. That's what they did. And then they get to the climax, so to speak, where he fucking kills her, and they cut back, and the very, very first thing that you hear when they come back after James Storm kills Mickie James and delivers a eulogy and a whistle, I might add. But they come back, and Josh Matthews joyfully, I have no other way to describe it, he joyfully says, quote, "Welcome back to TNA Impact." No mention of it. They don't address it in any way at all at any point during the show. This is the worst television show of all time.
I found the relevant paragraph on the website here.
Did you?
They're recapping the incident, and I will skip to the good part, if you will. Then Storm walked Mickey James to the train station, and that is where Storm, for whatever his reasons are, knocked Mickey James onto the track.
Jesus Christ, I watched the show and I know his fucking reasons. She wouldn't join his crew.
While Storm's actions are despicable and borderline criminal. I'm
waiting for the rest.
We have reached out to Mickey James. I'm looking at how bad the sentence is.
Well, it's a terrible sentence, yeah.
While Storm's actions are despicable and borderline criminal, we have reached out to Mickey James and have not yet gotten comment.
Yeah, she's fucking dead. No shit you haven't gotten comment yet.
Mickey was tested and passed all concussion field tests.
She passed?
That's what it says. In fact, I skipped a sentence. I'll go back here. We reached out to Mickey James and not yet gotten comment. We also reached out to security at the Nashville Star train station, who were first on the scene after James Storm left, and they were able to tell us that Mickey briefly blacked out and showed symptoms of a concussion. Mickey was tested and passed all concussion field tests. Mickey was emotionally disturbed following the events. Yeah, he tried to kill her!
So you're telling me that if you put me over the edge and I pull out a fucking gun and I just shoot this room up like Bill Watts, I just start shooting everywhere, and you make it out with only a nick on your ear, and you go to the doctor and he goes, it's a Band-Aid. That means I only committed a borderline, what was the word? A borderline
criminal.
Borderline criminal action. That's what I did there by shooting you. I just happened to miss.
There is nothing borderline about this. This is at least assault and perhaps attempted murder.
Why is it so hard to figure out how different it is to be TNA than to be Lucha Underground?
I don't know, but when you're watching the shows, it is plain.
One is a fucking soap opera that has monsters and people getting their face bitten off, and one is supposed to be a wrestling show. If you're going to be a wrestling show, you can't fucking kill people and then have them tweet. You know, let me tell you something else about this. It is possible to play devil's advocate and to be fair to TNA. It is possible that they said, Mickey, we're going to kill you. So please don't tweet. It's possible. The issue is, I don't think Mickey James is coming back anytime soon. And Mickey James really does have a music career. And Mickey James really did have events coming up this weekend. Are they going to pay her for those events that she's not allowed to tweet about? Of fucking course not! So you're going to write her off television, but then tell her that she can't tweet about the other things that she has going on in her life that's actually paying her? That doesn't make any fucking sense. This whole thing is so bad. Unbelievably bad. Ruined the show. That and the Barbershop Quartet.
You know, there's 100 things to bitch about this show, and you're not wrong about any of them. But what bothered me most of all,
that's how boring it was.
It was very, very boring, and the reason it was boring is because not just that every match was exactly the same, but every minute of every match was exactly the same. They did a little early back and forth stuff, moving as fast as they could. There was a heat segment moving as fast as they could. There was a comeback moving as fast as they could, and they did a finish. There was no drama. There was no build to anything. There was no change of pace. There was no selling. And usually when we say no selling, most times we watch wrestling, it's because the guy who's on defense suddenly pops up and is not hurt anymore. Hernandez does this. Dean Ambrose does this. That's common. There was no selling here because the guy would get hit, and before he could act in pain, they would hit him with another move. There was absolutely no reaction to anything. It was just stuff throughout. It was very monotonous. I watched the same match about 5 or 6 times here, and it was a crappy match. So let's begin. Show opened with a barbershop quintet, in fact, in the ring.
Apologize.
Well, everyone made. There's never been one before. There's a reason the term barbershop quartet is
because they got a real barbershop quartet, and then they needed an indie guy who was going to get his ass beat up.
Yes. So they did an a cappella rendition of Ethan's theme song as Ethan came out. And I will admit, when they did his song on the barbershop quartet, I did chuckle.
I thought it was stupid from the moment there was a barbershop quartet in the ring. Mm-hmm. I understand that Ethan Carter III is wacky, and he is a wacky guy, and he's funny. But funny, don't draw money.
Heard that before.
Still, in 2015, this will never, ever change. And it was, by the time this was over, it just made him a joke. It made him a geek. The whole thing was just a big ha-ha.
It was a big ha-ha.
And he's supposed to be the number one contender who's going to be going up against the wrestling machine Kurt Angle. And it was all ha-ha. Funny. Dude singing trouble, 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 trouble over and over again. Which, I never hated the song. I knew that's what they were saying, but I was trying to block it out of my mind. Now I just can't stand the song. Why are they singing trouble repeatedly?
That's how his song goes.
What a stupid song.
I didn't write it.
Josh and the Pope were in the hotel tonight.
Yeah.
Doing commentary.
I thought Pope was pretty good.
He was all right.
Josh had a meltdown at one point.
Oh, God, this idiot.
We'll get to it.
I'm just going to flat out he's an idiot. He's a heel in the opening segment, and then I wasn't keeping track because I was trying to just zone him out. But later on in the show, then he's a babyface, and then later on in the show, he's a heel again. I don't give a shit about an announcer who's can't decide whether he's on the side of the good guys or the bad guys. And he just sucks.
All I know is at one point he went into a long argument with himself about honesty in sports.
That's right. What was that about? Oh, when the ref believed a blind tag.
I guess.
Dude. Anyway,
Ethan's out there. He's got Tyrus, and we'll get to him. He's got two lovely ladies in gowns. He's got his singers, and he's celebrating being top contender. And I as I mentioned, I admit that I thought it was funny the first time. Then they started singing another song. Dumb. The joke was funny once. It was not funny twice.
You know what's so bad about it is as horrible as it was, you had Tyrus, who, keep in mind, he was once a dancing dinosaur. Mm-hmm. He was appalled. You had Kurt Angle, a man who once put on a miniature cowboy hat and played a banjo with Steve Austin. He was gobsmacked. Everybody was just... In storyline, EC3 is an idiot and a geek. That's not... Anyway. And you know what? I got more. So Spud comes out, or Kurt comes out.
Even before then, more comedy as Ethan tried to get Tyrus to dance and Tyrus wouldn't do it. It's that, inside ha-ha joke. He used to dance with another company, now he's not.
Yes. So Kurt comes out and he says he thinks that Spud deserves a shot. He should be next in line. And EC3 is furious that Spud is going to get a shot. And so he spends a whole show, I'm jumping ahead here because I don't give a shit. Spends a whole show here trying to come up with a way to have Spud not get a championship match. Now, I guess the storyline is that EC3 is just impatient, seeing as how he's been here for fucking almost 2 full years and hasn't got a championship match yet. What's his problem? He has beaten the absolute shit out of Spud. When you see Spud and you see Kurt Angle, you think as a fan, and I'm sure it'll turn out this way, that Spud has absolutely no chance of beating this man whatsoever. So who gives a fuck if you're EC3? Let Spud do his championship match and lose, and then you get your shot. Or you know what? Better yet, somehow Spud wins, and then you kick Spud's ass. I didn't even understand why his character was so desperate to get a championship match immediately. Does he know that the show is being canceled in September? Is that the problem? Is that the storyline?
It might be. I hadn't thought of that.
That'd be a hell of a storyline.
He knows he's got time running out. I must win the title before this company folds.
Jesus, he's just so... I've got to get it now. I can't allow Spud to get a championship match before me.
So Angle came out.
What was that noise?
I was inhaled and choked at the same time. I'm not sure what happened. I apologize if that was gross.
Oh, my God.
But just trying to breathe in the stench of TNA.
Oh, that's not nice.
So Angle came out.
Let's be fair.
He said that if Vern Gagne and Lou Thez could see this, they would be rolling over in their graves. I think, in all sincerity, Vern Gagne's favorite part of TNA would be the Barbershop Quartet.
It's possible.
So he started talking about Spud deserving a title shot, and
didn't we already go over this?
we did, but he started to leave, and he left with all his crew, and then he had his quintet sing another song.
The same song.
And then Angle grabbed one of these innocent men and hit him with an Angle slam.
It would have been saved if he would have hit all 5 men with the Angle slam, but only one was a worker.
What an asshole Kurt Angle turned out to be. Attacking these innocent men, just out there doing their job. He lashed out with violence. Lashley versus Eric Young.
Couldn't believe this either.
This was set up by Eric Pillmanizing Lashley's leg. In 2015, everyone, if you were out brawling in front of the crowd and you tease throwing a punch at a fan, you'd best be prepared to follow through with this punch. Because when Eric Young reared back for a punch at the fan, and this middle-aged, skinny, fat guy grabbed his belly and laughed at him.
Should not have put that on television.
No, that's another good point. This is not a live show. Oh, I look like such a geek. So,
every time Flair goes crazy on Nitro and runs out to his table that has all the wine on it, I mean, he's not even threatening fans, and they're all backing up like, this guy's fucking out of his mind.
Yes.
Not Eric Young. He rears back, and fat guys laugh at him.
Yeah. So, this was not a bad match, but again, it was the exact same pace throughout the entire time.
Dude, forget the match, dude.
Right.
Lashley pinned him in 5 minutes. Eric Young, a world title contender the last time I checked. He is distracted by Chris Melendez, and he gets pinned. Okay.
Yeah, Melendez came out, and I actually wrote down here, he didn't distract Young. He just stayed at the top of the stage. I didn't notice Young pointing at him or anything. Melendez came out, no music, just came out and watched from 80 yards away or whatever it is. The arena's not that big. That was silly. But point is, Lashley hit a spear and won.
Yep.
Came off clean as a sheet.
Yep.
And then Melendez went after Young, and Young ran away. Rockstar Spud arrived in what I swear this was the ugliest suit in the world.
Wow.
Orange and teal is a bad combination. He was not sure if he was going to surrender his X title for a shot at Kurt Angle or not. The fucking dollhouse is on here.
What are you talking about? Taryn is so awesome. Am I the only one?
Maybe. This gimmick sucks.
Oh, come on.
This gimmick sucks.
And on the list of shitty gimmicks in wrestling, this is not at the top.
They did a weird promo where Taryn said she was going to put the X in Destination X.
I wasn't even listening to anything she said. I just thought she was great.
I see. Melendez did a promo about how he had seen the look in Young's eyes when he stepped on stage. I didn't think Young looked at him at all. I don't think they made eye contact.
Well, he'd seen the look.
I had no idea what they're talking about. Austin Aries met with Spud.
Okay. I'm trying not to get mad about every single segment. Hence, I put over the dollhouse. Austin Aries comes out, and he gives his annual pep talk. But this time, he's suggesting that Spud just hold on to the belt. Because you can't beat Kurt, he says. He tells him sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. Although I could probably alert Austin Aries that actually sometimes it is. But the thing that pissed me off, and I was listening, he kept talking about option C. There's always option C, he says. I invented option C in 2012. 2012 was 3 fucking years ago, okay? What is option C? Furthermore, what is option A and B? I thought option A was I retain, I just hold on to my belt and I don't cash it in. Option B is I cash it in for a shot at the title. What the fuck's option C? If option C is I cash it in, what the fuck is option A and B? I have no earthly idea. Nobody explained what option C was. Nobody explained what option A or B was. I guess the people that watch this show nowadays, as we've learned from following TNA Mecca, are such hardcores that they probably all knew what option C was, but I don't know what it was. I have no idea what it was as a viewer. I don't know what A is. I don't know what B is. I don't know what C is. And they just talked about it like I should know.
Indeed.
Do you know?
I know option C. I don't know A and B. C is surrendering the X title in exchange for a title shot at the world title.
So what could A and B mean?
A must be keep the belt.
Sure. So what's B?
No fucking clue.
So annoying. Tell me what fucking B is.
I don't know.
God damn it.
So that's what this was. Brooke Adams versus Jade from the Dollhouse. It's hard to take a match seriously when one of the entrants comes out and immediately bends over and shakes her ass.
Well,
I don't want to complain about that.
I was going to say.
I really don't want to complain about that. That was one of the best parts of the show. But, yeah, so they did some moves for 4 minutes, a bunch of scripted spots, a lot of interference.
Hey, at least she's displaying her ass now.
Yeah.
It took 3 years to figure out that we should display it, since it's so great.
And then there was a lot of interference, and botched interference leading to the babyface hitting a move and winning. In other words, it was a Raw match.
Well, I don't want to complain about everything, but Brooke has a pin, but Marty puts Jade's foot on the ropes. Now, Brooke didn't see this, and Jade was, in fact, in the proper position to get her own foot on the ropes without any help. But somehow Brooke presumed it must have been cheating on the part of Marty. So she goes over and she grabs Marty by the hair, and she's yanking her by the hair, and she's completely distracted. And one would presume that Jade would then roll her up and pin her, but no. She then pinned Jade. What a shitty team.
Yes.
You two fuckers could not beat Brooke despite cheating. How are you going to get heat when you're a heel and you're so fucking competent?
It is the story of TNA.
This was so TNA.
Everyone's gimmick is that they suck.
This was so TNA because it wasn't a Raw match. This was every Raw match, but then they did a swerve.
I see.
And the swerve was not for the best.
Brooke celebrated this win. I know we talk about how...
It was great. She bounced up and down.
Okay, well...
She was so happy.
When you put it that way, yes. Listen, I know we talk all the time about how we want people to be happy when they win. Brooke celebrated like an 8-year-old girl.
Well, no, her boobs were way too big.
She jumped up and down and she squealed.
Yeah. I was cool with it. Trying to be positive.
Why?
The size of these boobies.
Yes, she has amazing buttocks and large fake breasts.
Vinny is so
great.
turning 40. He's over the tits. You're like Wang now.
Different. Anyway, Borash interviewed Ethan backstage.
I got to tell this story because it actually involves Wang. And everyone's going to have to really use their imagination because this is the one time where you really would have to see it. But I'm going to try and explain it the best I can. So I was showing arm bars the other day, and I was using Wang as a demonstrator. So everyone has seen the basic straight arm bar. One guy's on his back, and you put one leg over the dude's chest, and you put one leg over the guy's face, and then you hold onto his arm, and you straighten it the wrong way, right?
Sure.
So I'm demonstrating this on Wang. Now, the way that I learned it was a guy's arm has to be straightened the way it's not supposed to straighten. And so in order to make sure that the arm stays in the position that you want, you pinch both of your knees together. Because when you pinch both of your knees together, you like kind of lock the elbow, and thus you're keeping their arm in the position that you want. You're keeping it straight, and you're able to hyperextend it. Now, the reason I say the way that I learned it was because if you ever watch Ronda Rousey do the armbar, she does the exact opposite. She spreads her legs wide. I guess one of her knees is holding down the person's face. But I was always told you should pinch your knees together. And I would think that 90% of the people that learn jiu-jitsu have learned that you need to pinch your knees together. So I'm laying there on my back, and I've got Wang's arm between my legs.
Really happy you said arm.
Okay. And I'm pinching my knees together, and I started explaining to the class that it's very important that you pinch your knees together, because if your knees are wide, there's a lot of play in the arm. And so I take his arm and I kind of, shake it back and forth to show that there's all this play. And then I pinch my knees together. So one of the guys, Ryan, is laying down as I describe this. Everyone else is sitting up and looking at me, but he's a little over to the side and he's laying down. So from his back, all he sees is me on my back, and Wang's arm is sticking out from between my legs, and his hand is in a fist, and I'm shaking it violently side to side. Fucking died. This, maybe the convention. I'll recreate it for everybody.
That's a good idea.
Didn't work just describing it, did it?
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
Where's my sound effects right here?
No.
All right.
So
I tried.
you did. I'm not mad at you or anything.
You had to be there.
Yeah, you did have to be there. I'm sure it was hysterical. Borash interviewed Ethan backstage. At least he acknowledged that this man was savagely attacking him just a few months ago. I'm sick of people on Raw forgetting what happened. So Ethan was going off about how he deserved to be champion, not Spud, and then he interrupted his own promo to take a phone call.
This is very, very strange, but I don't want to... Man, people will get mad. Ethan had a very, very strange comment that I interpreted in a very, very interesting way. But I don't want to make any accusations, so I'm just going to move on. You can all watch it and come to your own conclusion.
Rebel backstage congratulated Brooke on her win. Brooke left, and within 3 seconds, the dollhouse came in and laid out Rebel.
No, within 1 second.
The point is Brooke deaf?
That's what I was thinking. That's why I was pointing out it was not 3 seconds.
Because if she is, that should be, that's...
They had a girly celebration, and Brooke, like, if you imagine just the frame through like just any television show, the frame. The second she was out of frame, these girls show up, and it's not like they just shot her with a gun with a silencer on it, which on this show, I wouldn't be surprised. They beat her fucking ass with chairs and metal. It sounded like an earthquake had hit.
And the funniest part was...
And Brooke's just gone.
Brooke's just gone. Everything on the show was too fast and rushed and compressed, including this promo here where they jumped in almost before Brooke was even off camera. Then the beating itself went forever. And the beating went so long, they had to edit it for time.
It was funny because they're in the middle of a beating, and then one of the girls goes, just like stops and says, "Hey, why don't we?" And then they cut it, and then they bring it back later. I was like, "Did you mean to put that part in there, or what happened
here?"
Didn't even
notice.
I did. I was laughing.
I hate this show.
Let's talk about Micah. We had the Beatdown Clan versus the Rising. Drew McIntyre, Eli Drake, and Micah against MVP, Kenny King, and Loki. Again, if your name is Micah, I apologize. Cool name, but I don't think tough guy. Maybe it's because I've never met a Micah who was tough. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe there's a Micah out there listening right now who could just whip my ass, but I've never met one. And Micah is the son of Haku. Haku, who, along with Barbarian, had the most fantastic squash match, killing fuckers on Nitro, the last one we watched. His real name is Tavita Fafita.
Really?
Yeah. Tavita Fafita. And they call him Micah.
Micah Miller, UFC fighter, 9-1 record.
I don't even remember Micah Miller. Isn't Micah like a unit of measurement that is extraordinarily small?
When I say 9-1 record, I'm looking at his... this is UFC's own site, mind you. Over the top it says Micah Miller, 910. You scroll down to fight history, I see loss.
Yeah.
I'm confused. Anyway. So they had a match where they did a bunch of moves, and then some more moves, then another move, and...
Here, it just proves it right here. You know what Micah's Latin for? Crumb. That's a tough name.
Not aware.
And it's the way it's spelled in TNA. M-I-C-A. That's Latin for crumb.
So, it's, if you just turned on this match at a random point, you had never seen Impact in your life, but you knew wrestling, and you turn this on, you would have no idea what point in the match it was. You would not know if it was the comeback. You would not know if it was the heat. You would know to see guys doing moves. and then you left the room and came back a minute later, you see more guys doing moves, and you still wouldn't know who was the babyface or who was the heel or anything, or why you should care about anything at all.
Anyway, who won?
I don't even remember.
You idiot.
Hang on. The babyface is pinned low-key after a Doomsday device.
That's right.
Ethan Carter is back on TV for his 403rd segment on the show. Said he had taken a phone call. It would change Spud's life.
I still don't know why. Anyway, go on.
I don't either. Well, I guess I do.
Why?
Well, they would change Spud's life because he would be back working for the Carters.
I know, but my point, I'm still back on why does he care if he gets a title shot? Who cares?
I don't know.
Hope he wins, dude. You beat his ass.
I was going to read this, what I wrote here. They showed Mickie James in Nashville going to an empty recording studio. Then James Storm walked in. Then it ended.
Yeah, she was shocked he was there.
Spud in the world's ugliest suit came out. He wanted more time to make his decision. They wouldn't give it to him.
That was not very nice. I guess the show is next week.
Angle came out and said
he was wasting their time.
He was warning Spud about all of his own accomplishments. So there's no chance in hell he was going to lose his title anytime soon, implying Spud should not throw his ex-title away. And then Ethan Carter came out for his 963rd segment on the show. He said he and Dixie were willing to offer Spud a lifetime contract as chief of staff if he would turn down the title shot with Angle. Spud went off on all the horrible things Ethan had done to him.
Dude, you're for once you've got to give them credit. This was the best promo. Spike is great.
Spud is great.
Spud. Why do I keep calling him Spike?
We miss Spike.
Yeah, Spud. Oh my God, he cut such a great promo. This guy is the best babyface in wrestling. Who's better?
At promos?
Who's a better babyface?
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
That doesn't count.
Also Sami Zayn.
Fine. He's third. But still, goddamn, he was awesome here.
So he was pissed off at Ethan. Just to piss Ethan off, he was going to take option C and challenge Angle. So Ethan decked Spud and bailed. And then Angle challenged Ethan and Tyrus to face himself and Spud in a tag match.
I just got to say one more time how awesome Spud's promo was. If you only watch one thing on this show, you got to go back and watch the passionate promo that Spud cut, where when it was over, you really wanted to see this guy win the title, which lasted until the main event.
The Dirty Heels were backstage talking about being 0-2, down 0-2 in their series with the Wolves. Harry said the problem was we're fighting the Wolves match. We need to do what we do best. In other words, it was time to start cheating.
Yeah, but Bobby Roode, even though he's on the Dirty Heels, apparently doesn't want to be a heel, which means he probably should have had a talk with Austin Aries a while ago, but apparently didn't.
Yeah. So Aries says, here, I got you this shirt. I think he said, I got you this. He gave him a gift and walked away.
Yeah.
Back in Nashville, Storm told Mickie that she should be a star, and also she should be by his side and not Magnus. He said Magnus was a stain who could not provide for her. He said Mickie and her son should join the revolution. Mickie was appalled that he would even ask her this. She said she thought they were friends, but this is what he wanted and it was time to go. Storm started laughing and apologized and said that was her decision. He would stand behind her.
You know what's funny about this is Storm comes up to an engaged woman who just had a baby with her man who she loves. And he asks her with a straight face, leave this fucker, come with me with your baby, and we'll do terrible, diabolical things together. She is appalled. He then says, okay, don't. And they hug. He goes to walk her back to her car. What? That may be dumber, actually, than shoving her off the train platform.
Yeah. Dirty Heels versus Wolves. So, remember that? The gift Aries gave Rude?
It was a shirt.
It was a shirt. A shirt that says Dirty Heels.
Black on gray.
This was the build to this.
Listen, I'll be nice first. This was a pretty fun match. It was a lot of moves.
This would have been a fun match in a vacuum.
Sure.
But on the show, it was a match I have seen 6 times, or a better version of the match I had seen 6 times. But it's all the same.
Let me say a couple of negatives, then I'll go back to the positives. First off, I cannot handle Josh anymore. there was a reference to a stiff kick. Aren't all the fucking kicks stiff, you idiot? What is a non-stiff kick? What'd you call it? What'd you call the rest of them? Worked kicks. But that one was stiff. I hope the Observer is not responsible for shit like this in his commentary, because I'd be really upset. So, the Dirty Heels hit all of their moves. Now, keep in mind, by the way, they're down. They've lost 2 matches in a best-of-5 series. So if they lose this match, they're done. The championship changes hands. They've used all of their moves. All of them have been kicked out of broken out, or the pins have been broken up. So Austin Aries goes outside and he grabs a chair right in front of the ref. And he throws into the ring for Bobby Roode right in front of the ref. And he's demanding Bobby Roode use this chair right in front of the ref.
Yeah.
Can this company do anything right?
No.
Why, in a best-of-5 series, when you're down 2, would you throw a fucking chair in the ring right in front of the referee and ask your partner to use it, which would assuredly be a DQ, and you would lose?
I don't know.
Then...
Yeah, it got worse after that.
The referee is standing there. He's looking at the chair. He's telling them you can't use this chair. So Austin Aries says, hey, ref, come here. Let me show you this championship belt. The ref, like a goddamn idiot, ignores the chair, and he goes over to talk to Aries about the championship belt. So Bobby Roode hits a low blow. It hits a chair shot.
You're skipping something.
Oh, there's more.
It's actually, okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I was unaware it was worse.
It's kind of important in the long run. So Roode does not want to cheat. He says, no, I will not use this chair. I think he said,
shit.
I can't do it.
Because he would be DQ'd.
Well, that too. But more importantly, it's morally wrong. And then Edwards rolled him up and got a near fall, and Roode kicked out. Then Aries took the ref, and at this point, Roode was desperate, and then he hit the low blow and the chair shot and won. So he went from, I can't do it, it's wrong, and backstage, he didn't want to do whatever it took to win. He wanted to prove he was the better wrestler, to here, in a moment of desperation, as he last resort, is forced to break the rules. And you think, okay, this is interesting storyline progression, interesting character development. This is believable. I can get into this. And then the refs raising their hands, and Roode is smiling and cackling. I'm evil again.
Is this Billy Corgan or what's going on?
I don't know. It's not good TV.
And then James Storm killed Mickey James.
Yeah. They were walking by the train tracks. Storm pushed her off. There was a thud. She died.
You hear the train coming.
He said he made her decision. She had made her decision. He had made his. Then a train went by and ran over her dead body.
And then he called the husband and said she's not coming home for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh joyfully says, welcome back to TNA Impact.
We kill women.
He didn't say that, Vinny.
No, but it was the message implied.
No, the message was, maybe this was the one smart thing he did. Try to fucking ignore this. He killed Mickey James.
I saw it.
with a train. So stupid.
He killed her with a train.
And then, let me just recap this next segment. Madison Rayne came out, and somebody had watched every Raw angle ever, as well as Stephanie versus Brie Bella at SummerSlam. Madison comes out. She talks about how Velvet was fired. Great way to get her over. Velvet comes through the crowd because I guess she goes to the show every week. I don't know what she's done to her face and her makeup. She looks totally different and not in a good way. Velvet spears Madison and gives her the worst stunner since the heyday of Vince McMahon. Angelina comes out and she uses every cliche that you've ever heard. You don't work here. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. They have Velvet arrested. She then beats up Velvet. They take Velvet out, and then more police come out and they say, oh, Velvet doesn't work here. You beat up a fan, Angelina. We're arresting you as well. They carry her out. This was like every bad angle I've ever seen all in one place.
I just want to say that I believe the first time this thing started, when Velvet came out all tough, I'm pretty sure I called her Stone Cold Velvet Sky, and now she is in fact using the stunner.
She is.
They're not even being subtle about it.
No.
The other thing.
It is better. Hey, you want me to be positive?
Not
Her
really.
stunner is better than John Cena's springboard stunner. That's a fact. Albeit low praise, but it's a fact.
So I could have sworn that Josh Matthews said these men who worked for Angelina were in shirts that read "Slut Security."
No. You got to be kidding me.
I hope I'm wrong.
I got to... Hold on a
I
second.
really hope I'm wrong.
I got to Google this. Actually, I'm afraid to Google it. I'll end up with ads like yours.
Probably, yeah.
I'll add TNA at the end, which won't help.
That'll help. What are we doing with our lives?
I don't see it. I think you may have misheard.
I hope
It's impossible that somebody wouldn't have mentioned this somewhere online.
I hope I misheard. Yeah, so otherwise, all private security guards everywhere carry handcuffs with them and are allowed to use these handcuffs when disposing of, when ejecting people from buildings or whatever. We had another Dollhouse segment. Here is what I wrote about it. Taryn cut a promo about, I don't know. But she said we'd see her next week.
I didn't know either, I'll be fair.
This gimmick sucks. EC3 and Tyrus versus Spud and Kurt Angle. At last, someone on the show actually used a wrestling hold to keep their opponent on the mat and wear him down and change the fucking pace of the entire show. And of all people, it was goddamn Tyrus.
Tyrus, God bless the man. He sucks.
I'm sure he's trying very hard.
Oh my God. There was a spot where he charged at Angle, and Angle had to low bridge him. During that match with Big Wood,
I was going to say.
where they got so blown up that they tried to whip each other corner to corner, and they walked.
They were walking across the ring. Was it Avalanche?
It was Avalanche. And,
it was definitely Big Wood.
I think it was Avalanche and Big Wood.
It was definitely Big Wood.
Holy fuck. You never saw somebody get low bridged as slowly as he got low bridged here.
Tyrus came to a complete stop.
He did. But he wasn't going very fast, so it was not impressive that he came to a complete stop.
It's like you stopped in a dime.
No.
You roll to a gradual halt. So yeah, Tyrus, the worst active wrestler on national TV. Somebody has to be. And Faces hit him with a double team, and Angle put him with an angle slam, and Spud made the cover for the win.
Well, what happened was Spud got in there at the beginning.
Actually, there is a key point here, yeah.
They beat the hell out of Spud forever, and finally gets a hot tag to Angle. Angle does all the work, and Spud does one splash at the end and gets the pin.
Or even after that.
Well, my point is, it was a fun, happy ending to the match, but literally, there was not one single thing in this match that gave me as a fan any hope for Spud next week.
Well, no.
Made me want to see the match at all. Oh, and by the way, Josh was a heel again here. Josh Matthews, I don't know how long he's been in wrestling. He couldn't understand why they played Spud's music, even though Spud had gotten the pinfall in the main event match. He was baffled. What did I miss?
Bad show. So, the heels segment here was the only point in the match when anyone at any time allowed anything to sink in. This was the only point in the show where you realize, hey, Spud's in trouble. This is a bad thing. So, Tyrus at least, thank God he's slow and plodding because it was different. And then Ethan's working him over and taunting Angle the entire time. And he hits an overhead belly to belly like Angle does. And he starts staring down Angle. And the hot tag was actually a great spot. I will say that. He's staring down Angle, and suddenly Spud scrambles through Ethan's legs and tags Kurt, and Ethan, in terror, turns, flees, and tags in Tyrus. That was awesome. I will admit, that was awesome.
Great.
All right, so the babyfaces win, and then they're having a match next week, so they go from the win to the stare down. Then Austin Aries comes out for a promo, and I don't know why, but they clearly began pumping in fake cheers. People were booing. He's not supposed to be booed. I don't know. It was very obvious and very lame. So Aries said he was going to cash in his briefcase at Destination X. He was going to face the winner of Angle Spud, and he was going to be in the real main event of the show. And this left Ethan screaming because he was not getting a title match. Don't watch Impact. Let it die.
Wow, Vinny, I don't know if I would go that far. I'm cool with not watching it, but...
There was some hit and miss stuff in the TNA.
Did they address Mickie James?
Absolutely. In fact, and she's fine. She doesn't even have a concussion anymore. She is fine. She was just emotionally shook up. And Magnus will be there next week, and he'll do it. But in fact, yeah, they showed the clips again, and when you see it a second time, it's probably equally stupid, if not even stupider, especially when they come right back and say, for those of you asking, she's fine. She had no physical harm at all. So in fact, she does not have a concussion anymore. So that's the story. It was Curtain Spud was fine for what it was. It's kind of ridiculous in a sense when you really watch Curtain Spud do a match for the world title. It really was ridiculous, but it was probably the best that they could do. They were both really good. It's just weird, but it just looks stupid. Then they did a three-way, low-key, Manic and Crazy Steve, just a quick match. So the winners of these matches are all going to go in an Ultimate X match, which is going to be on next week's show for the X Division title. They did some stuff with Grado. So Grado was in. Grado the Grado's there for comedy, and it was hit and miss. His first segment completely sucked. He was there, and I guess he was acting like he was, doing box jumps, probably because they probably watched a film of Triple H doing box jumps, and everyone's obsessed with that. So the gimmick is, of course, that he was going to box jump, but he was afraid to jump, so he never did. And then he tried to do a box jump, and he failed, and it just wasn't funny at all. But later, the idea was that he's supposed to be in an X Division match tonight, so he believes that he's got to make weight. So they show him in a plastic sweatsuit, running around, trying to lose, crash diet, lose weight, or crash, drop water weight, which actually was kind of bad because later. So there's like 3 skits involved or so. So by the final skit, he wants to weigh in. Okay. And so he takes off that plastic suit, and here's the deal, okay? He's not sweating at all. There's no, you know what I mean?
This is the least of our worries.
No, but it's like you're doing this thing where he's sweating off all these pounds, and then then when he takes off the suit, it's like there's no sweat on the guy. It's like, so anyway, he goes to weigh in, and he gets naked to weigh in, and then Jeremy Borash explains, we don't have any weight class here. The X Division is about no limits, not about weight limits. So, and he doesn't understand this concept at all. So he just wants to know if he made weight. And then Borash is trying to explain to him that, in fact, you don't have to make weight. You're okay. So that was the Grado stuff. The making weight stuff, actually, when he was trying to sweat off the pounds, I thought that was kind of funny. And I guess even the other thing at the end was all right. So anyway, so we had another one of these matches, which was DJZ, Mandrews, and Tigre Uno, which was
your main man, Mandrews.
Yeah, Tigre Uno won that one, and that's pretty good. That's a good match. Then Jesse Goddard's destroyed DJZ afterwards, so I guess DJZ is going to be a babyface. He was pretty good. I mean, all 3 of those guys actually in that match were quite good. Then they had a Dollhouse segment, which was the one with where Kong had to wear negligee to get a championship match, and she refused to do so. So Kong beat up the 2 Dollhouse girls, Jade and Marty, but she didn't get her championship match. And then Taryn Terrell was there in a robe, with lingerie underneath, and said, well, there's not going to be a match, so none of you guys are going to see me in lingerie. So then Brooke came in, and they had the very predictable fight where they're rolling around on the bed because it was a pillow fight match. There's a bed in the ring for their match that didn't happen. And then she disrobed her, and Taryn Terrell covered up and ran away. So I guess we're building to Brooke and Taryn Terrell. So it was what it was. I mean, pretty girl getting stripped type thing. Whatever. Then we had the Grado weigh in, and then it was Kenny King, Grado, and Cruz, which is a Florida guy, and they they as they announced the match, they pretty much tell you Kenny King is going to win, which of course meant he wasn't going to win. And Grado won. He pinned Cruz. So Grado is in the. So it's going to be Grado, Low Key, and Tigre Uno in the Ultimate X match next week. Grado. It's a total Colt Cabana knockoff. Obviously, he wasn't. Obviously he's not as over as he was when they're in the UK, but he's got like I like him a lot because he's different and he's got absolutely great facial expressions and he walks like, he's got this character. So, I know a lot of people probably don't like him because he's not much of a wrestler or anything, but a 2-hour show, you can have one comedy guy. If you script his comedy well. And then, like I said, his stuff was hit and miss. Then Bram beat up a cameraman, and then Bram did an interview, and he says he hates history and he hates the past. So the explanation is that so he wants to call out somebody, anyone from TNA's past can come out and have a match with him. So Crimson comes out. It's a name that you would, of course, think of as TNA's past. So Crimson is essentially there to be the guy that Bram, who they're pushing really hard, beats, right? So Bram sells the whole match. Crimson does the Rings of Saturn. Bram nearly submits. Then Bram finally bites his hand, bites Crimson's hand to break the hold. And the very next move is an implant DDT. It's like this guy has been put in this torturous hold over and over again. He's been beaten up the entire match. He one bite, and then he's recovered and he's fine, and he does that implant DDT. I just thought he sold too much and he won too quick, and the match was freaking stupid. So that was my thought on that. And then we had Austin Aries and Kurt Angle, who had an excellent match. Of course, Kurt won with the ankle lock. But, this was, just great. Just a great, great match. And that was the show.
So the show opened with a tribute to Dusty Rhodes. It was nice and, frankly, for me at least, completely unexpected. They had a contract signing with EC3 and Kurt Angle. So Ethan says, Kurt, you've beaten everyone. And he listed all the men Kurt had beat, and I wrote it down. Heartbreak Kids, Texas Rattlesnakes, Cerebral Assassins, Electrifying Men, Next Big Things, Ayatollahs, Nature Boys, Superstars who were rated R, Dead Men, Immortals, and Guys You Can't See. What do all those men have in common?
Yeah.
Not TNA people.
He did mention, to be fair, I believe...
He tagged on at the very end.
4 TNA guys.
Submission Machines, Phenomenal Ones, Charismatic Enigmas, Icons, and King of the Mountains. So yes, those are all ex-TNA guys.
That's true. So nobody currently with the company.
I guess Jeff Hardy.
That's right.
So all these men, there's one he's beaten who's still around. He said,
I liked what they were trying to do, but man,
way to put yourself a second rate.
It just can't work when 13 names were big stars in the other group, and 4 of the 5 names that you mentioned that were in TNA have gotten the hell out of there.
Yeah, that didn't work. I did like when Ethan said that for all those people Kurt had beaten, he would not beat Ethan, and he called himself Kurt's Beelzebub. I did not see that coming. So Kurt essentially said he was used to big matches. This was his environment. Ethan was going to lose, and it would haunt him forever. Then they explained, each guy signed, and they explained that per mutual agreement, each guy would get to pick his opponent's tune-up match, and Angle picked Lashley to face Ethan, and Ethan would get to pick Angle's opponent next week. We had the Wolves versus the Dirty Heels. Wolves got a promo, and Davey referred to their fans as Wolves Nation.
Yeah, it's the Wolf Nation.
I'm sure we've said this before, but what's wrong with Wolf Pack?
Probably WWE would put their foot down. By the way, speaking of the Wolf, we have Father's
North Carolina
Day.
State.
Yeah.
There's lots of Wolf Packs out there that would have had that first.
Dude, they're mad about the click symbol, for Christ's sake. So I'm pretty sure they'd be upset about Wolf Pack. Anyway, just very quickly, we did a UFC party a few months ago, and Sean, the same one that tried to kill himself doing flips, all of a sudden, in the middle of the show, he just goes, is that cat allowed to eat pizza? And the wolf is taking off across the room with a full fucking slice of pizza in his mouth. So, put a stop to that. Today we discovered he is a fan of sweet potato fries.
Really?
Yeah. Twice we caught him eating sweet potato fries.
Cats.
That's the Wolf Nation right there.
Yeah. So we talked about traveling the world to get to TNA. And then since they've been there, they had beaten the Bromans, they beat the Hardys, they beat Team 3D. He was appalled the Dirty Heels had cheated. That makes you dumb, Davey.
I was going to say, they're the Dirty Heels,
Yes.
homie.
He promised to bring the war to the Heels and call them out to fight. Bobby Roode came out alone. Said Austin Aries had just wrestled a match last week against Kurt Angle. He has not been cleared to compete. He's at home relaxing in sunny California. And obviously I knew from the get-go where this was going, but still, I like that for all the guys who get laid out and put through tables or beat up by gangs of men or whatever, Austin Aries has a wrestling match and is selling the injuries a week later.
Oh, when Rude goes, he needs his rest.
He's in sunny California, yes.
I think it's Florida, but
Whichever. So,
both sunny.
that's true.
Could have said Seattle.
This week, it's been very sunny lately.
All the way through 2016, they say. Summer of 2016.
It's not going to rain between now and then?
Well, it's going to rain, but it's going to be unseasonably warm like it has been all the way through the end of summer 2016.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, the Wolves challenged Rude, all right, your partners are here, why don't you face us in a one-on-one match? He turned them down, except, he said, I'll fight one of you if the winner gets to pick the stip for match 4 in our tag team series. And the Wolves accepted, and they agreed Eddie would get the match. So we got Bobby Roode versus Eddie Edwards. I have breaking news in 2015. Bobby Roode is really, really good. Outstanding professional wrestler. They were plugging the Angle Aries match from last week on YouTube. They promised it was 5 stars. I bet it wasn't. So they're doing the near falls, and Roode spits at Davey. Davey takes the ref. Aries runs down with a chair to try to cheat. Things got a little complicated, but to make a long story short, the cheating backfired. Davey took the chair away, and Eddie won with the most dangerous move in wrestling in 2015, the schoolboy.
Yep, your favorite move.
So the Wolves then picked a Full Metal Mayhem match for match 4. And I'm just wondering, if that's the match 4, what is match 5 going to be?
Dude, you know how wrestling is. It'll be a wrestling match. Yeah. Schoolboys allowed. The most dangerous match in wrestling.
No schoolboys barred.
I did like this match. This was pretty good.
We had a awesome Lashley hype video. Just him looking scary and killing men for days. This man needs to be champion until the company dies. Borash was backstage explaining he was supposed to do an interview there, but his subject had gone missing, and he's killing time when suddenly Joseph Park makes his return to TV.
I got to talk about this for a moment. Oh, Christ. First off, Joe Park's back. That's number one. So, immediately following this, before we get to Joe Park, immediately following this, there was a Drew Galloway commercial. And he was begging us to show our impact. Tweet out the hashtag, support this company by tweeting about it. And my first thought was, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but I want my fans, if I have them, to support me by fucking spending money on my product, not fucking tweeting out on the internet, which is the same thing we should be worried about here with TNA. Forget Twitter. Get people to spend money on your product. That's how they support it, not with a hashtag. So it was so funny because as they're going on and on about their hashtags, in the Joseph Park promo, he revealed that he was down and out because he'd lost his law firm, and he said, I've lost a lot of money on a social media business. I died.
Well, did you catch which one?
What was it?
He said, I lost all my money on that social media trend tout. And he said this, and then Borash does a slow burn thinking right into the camera. It was perfect comedy.
These two are great.
Before that, Park explained that he was not the high-powered attorney he used to be. He lost his job, he lost his teeth, he lost a spot on the Impact roster, and he lost all his savings investing in Tout. And he said Bram had challenged past stars from Impact to face him, and this was his chance to finally be the guy on top.
How the fuck much money did he invest in Tout? WWE only put in like $1 million or something.
I don't know.
Save your money, kids.
So
diversify. How about that?
That's true. That's a good call. Bram caught a cameraman filming him backstage, beat the crap out of him.
That was stupid. There was no point to that. And shouldn't Bram be like suspended for something?
That guys beat up backstage people all the time.
Not a cameraman.
That was what's his name? Sam Shaw. That was his whole gimmick. Beating up guys backstage on video and not getting any punishment.
Yeah, you know what? That gimmick sucked.
I know. I'm just saying, it's what they do here. So here's where we got the Drew Galloway video package. Just walking the streets, brooding, and asking fans to show their impact. Bram versus Joseph Park. The announcers explained Park's character to any new viewers in Destination America. And they managed to do this without ever explaining that he is Abyss and everyone knows it.
Does anyone know Abyss nowadays?
I don't know. So Park tried to cut a promo, but Bram sucker punched him. And Park's gimmick is still that he's a terrible wrestler. So he took Bram down, started throwing the worst punches ever. Pope, a former boxer, sarcastically talks about how these are great punches. And then Park tried to use a chair, but he couldn't figure out how. They brought a bunch of plunder into the ring. Joe figured out how to do a choke slam. And then they teased and finishes, and Bram hit a spear through the table in the corner for the win.
I liked it.
It was a fun garbage match with a little comedy.
It's fine. It's fine.
Taryn Terrell and her highly distracting bosom cut a promo.
God, I love this woman. She's hot, and she's great in this role.
I have no idea what she said. I cannot get past her cleavage. Now, I would feel ashamed about admitting this, that I'm this shallow. And this.
Why? It was done for that purpose.
When it ended, Josh Matthews said, I got that she was talking about a tag match and something about Double or Nothing, but I had no idea what that meant. And they put the graphic up on the screen, and Josh says, we got a Double or Nothing tag match coming up. I will explain that later.
Yeah.
So he was well aware that no one could focus on what she was saying because of her boobs.
I don't know if Drew Galloway would talk about this, but they always say the best character is the one closest to yourself. And goddamn, she is the master of this character. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying.
Had a wacky video promo about how the world was burning and evil must be extinguished and for the wicked playtime is over. I'm assuming somebody is going to come in and take out the dollhouse. Marty Bell and Jade versus Awesome Kong and Brooke. So what Double or Nothing meant was, if the babyfaces win, they both get title matches. If they lose, neither ever gets a title shot again. Why, as the babyface, would you accept those terms ever? When you could lose your right to ever get a title shot because your partner's pinned.
Well,
it's not like they have 47 women to fight through for a title shot.
The bigger issue actually is why this would be allowed given the roster of women they've got.
Yeah.
We cannot eliminate two contenders here.
No. So everyone brawled everywhere. Josh Matthews often sticks up for the heels, but here he was making fun of Pope for being a 1980s heel commentator. And that was his exact words.
How fucking ironic.
Yep. They announced here that Taryn had tied the record for longest Knockouts championship reign, and she would break it tomorrow. Seemed like that should have been a bigger deal. So they're doing this women's match, lots of hair pulling and stuff, and Josh Matthews plugs a show on Destination America. It's his job. That's what they have to do. The show is about men who are going to try and grill a hyena.
What?
To prepare a meal for human consumption.
This doesn't sound like a good idea.
Keep in mind, this station is canceling Impact. But they're fine with hyena grilling.
Well, the issue, Vinny, is how the fuck much do you think it costs to make that show?
Probably very little. Well, you know what? Actually, I take that back. I have no idea how much a hyena costs.
Well, I presume they're just going to really hunt one. So free.
Then you got to fly to Africa. Are there hyena... what do they call them? There's a word. Not farm, something like that. But anyway.
I'll find out.
Yeah. park, maybe? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure if there's a hyena park, you can't go fucking shoot them.
Yeah, that's not the word. Ranch. That's what I'm thinking of. Hyena ranch. Yeah. Down at the hyena ranch. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
What?
There's a whole giant section here on Wikipedia. Hyena attacks on humans.
Oh, yeah.
This may be a hell of a show.
I guess so. So Kong made a Titus O'Neil comeback where she was running all over the place. She hit a double suplex, and then Brooke hit an elbow off of Kong's shoulders to pin Marty Bell. So now Taryn has 2 challengers.
That's right. Thank God. I like this match. Kong made this comeback, and she looks like this big, mean woman with a bad back, but she'd still whip your ass.
Oh, yeah.
And Brooke did the splash off the shoulders. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, and this was fine. Chris Melendez came out for a promo. They showed earlier Eric Young pinned Chris Melendez in something called Hardcore War. And afterwards, he had yanked off Melendez's fake leg and attacked everyone with it, and apparently left with it.
Yeah, I love that Melendez is... I mean, every cliche about a one-legged man, he uses in his promo. And somehow, it kind of worked. He goes, Eric Young, I got 1 foot in the grave,
yes,
and I'm on my last leg, but I'm ready to kick your ass. I was like, that kind of works.
He does literally have 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah.
That foot's not coming back. So, he said Young had disrespected his uniform, his country, and his flag, but he vowed to keep fighting. He demanded Young come out, and Young came out for some talking here between these hated rivals. They were just standing face-to-face, exchanging pleasantries. Young credited Melendez for making a huge sacrifice, called him an American hero. But this is pro wrestling, and here I am a 5-star general, a god, and world class, and you are nothing. And I can do even worse things to you than tear off your fake leg if you're ready for that. And Melendez says, you're right, you are higher on the total pole than me, but I'm going to be here to fight next week. Then Eric walked away.
I thought it was a good promo by Eric.
Their deliveries were very good. It's just the whole concept of, I hate you so much, I'm going to stand here and talk to you.
It is a good delivery.
Yeah. Jesse Goddard versus DJZ. I'm very sad they broke up the bromance.
Where the hell have I been?
Happened quick, I guess.
I guess so.
So, Jesse got red and black gear. He has an amazing physique, of course. They call him Mr. Spectacular. And when they cut to a wide shot, all I could think was, that is Ken Shamrock in 1999. Looked just like him. Having a very fun match with DJZ being small and fast and Jesse being huge and strong. And then Jesse gets a hold of him. He powers over the backland lift. And he goes to something kind of like a buckle bomb used by Seth Rollins and Michael Elgin and others. But what Jesse did was to throw him in a straight line into the corner. And Jesse's head crashed in the back of the turnbuckle, or the back of his head crashed in the turnbuckle, and his body crumpled up. I shrieked. This is terrifying. Don't do this to people. And Jesse put on a Boston Crab and won. Cut a promo saying the only time he ever felt like a loser was when he was teaming with DJZ and Robbie. While DJZ was DJing and Robbie E was on the Amazing Race, he had been training. That's right, he was the one who looked good and had the muscles. He said he was done with them. He was going to press DJZ out of the ring, but Robbie E, looking completely unidentifiable in street clothes, he ran out to ball with Jesse, and Jesse bailed. And that was that.
This Jesse Goddard is pretty good.
Jesse's really good.
Given his level of experience, and they finally... This is one thing TNA is good at. They took a guy who used to be a comedy geek, and now he's a badass, and he's pulling it off. This was his best promo I've ever seen. This is probably his most effective heel promo ever. Probably the most effective he's ever been as a heel ever. And it's good. I like this Jesse Goddard.
Mm-hmm. They recapped James Storm murdering Mickie James by pushing her in front of a train.
Holy fuck. Let me talk about this.
This, by the way, is the point. The exact point where the show began to suck.
I waited all week to find out. I can only imagine this follow-up. And first off, Magnus comes out and he's irate. And he says, I am not letting the show continue until James Storm comes down to this ring. And I thought, Well, first off, it's nice of you to wait 90 minutes into this show
that is
before
correct.
you come out here so mad. It's just impossible to buy any of this. So Storm comes out, and he's got a baby cradle, and he's teasing that he's got Mickey James' baby in this cradle.
Magnus' son.
And I'm like, and Magnus is acting like he may believe it. And I'm just thinking, this is so beyond jump the shark. I mean, whatever the more modern term is, if there even is one, of like jumping over the shark, that's fucking this right here. Because let's just say, how does Magnus not know where his fucking baby is? Why would he believe that James Storm has a stroller with his baby in it? It's so stupid.
Apparently, with Mickey either in the hospital or at home, Magnus brought his son to the arena, and then I guess set him down.
Oh, didn't have anyone watch the baby?
I guess.
I'm just going to leave the baby here in the back. I'm sure it'll be fine. So yes, Storm kicks the stroller off the ramp. Magnus freaks out, but it's just a baby. It's just a doll. It's not a real baby. And then when this fucking horrendous segment is over, they cut away so fast, and Josh blew this off as quickly as humanly possible. Like, he was utterly embarrassed by it all.
Oh, yeah.
As he should have been.
That's exactly the impression I got. The only reaction this got from the crowd at all was one guy laughing at Magnus for being stupid.
Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah. We had an EC3 highlight video, and then EC3 versus Lashley. So, Ethan's out there doing the worst dropkick through the ropes ever. He has a dropkick off the apron and lands on the floor. And they're talking about Ethan's going to lose here, and then he'll screw up our undefeated challenger for that big title match. I'm thinking, you should worry about him taking a bad bump and hurting himself and costing you the match entirely. So Tyrus had one job. Wedge a chair in the corner. And he is working on it and working on it and working on it. And apparently,
my head is hung as you tell this tale.
Apparently, he did it too early because Lashley goes into that very corner, knocks the chair down, no-sells it. There's a chair in the ring. They just keep wrestling. And Tyrus tries and tries and tries and tries to get this chair up. And finally, he gives up and he just holds it up there with his hands. And Lashley misses a spear and bonks into it. Then the ref gets bumped. Then Lashley hits Ethan with a spear. Tyrus drops an elbow on Lashley. A new ref comes out. He does not disqualify Ethan for all this stuff with the chair that everything Tyrus has done. He counts, but Lashley kicks out. So Tyrus blatantly attacks the ref and lays him out. Still not a DQ. Tyrus attacks Lashley, calls out a third ref. Lashley kicks out. Tyrus kills this ref. Still not a DQ. And then finally, Ethan whacks Lashley with a chair. He hits his headlock DDT, and the original ref from the floor counts 3. An awful main event.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I thought this was terrible.
It was preposterous. Normally I'd get upset because it's like, you're trying to build a challenger, and he's like such a geek. Like, it takes all of this to beat Lashley. But I guess that's the idea they want, is you go into the Kurt Angle match. That, come hook or crook, this guy's probably going to beat Kurt Angle. Maybe that's the idea. I don't know. But I didn't think it was terrible. It certainly was the low point of the show. Actually, I can't say that. That's a lie. In fact,
It wasn't even the low point of the last half hour.
Jesus, that was a blatant lie. The Magnus thing was far. Maybe that's the problem, is it's followed that. Standalone, it may have been better, but overall, this was a good show.
Like I say, I enjoyed the first 3 quarters of it.
Moments later, Impact went on the air. Jeff Jarrett returned. He's going to a King of the Mountain match. Tons of rumors all day long today. What in the hell's going on with TNA, Dave?
I don't know. It's, I mean, Jeff Jarrett was not in charge of anything today. So as far as buying something, that stuff, it certainly hasn't happened yet. He is going to be part of the storylines for a while. It's more than a one shot. And where that goes, I don't know. It was a TNA idea that they came to him with roughly 5 days ago. I presume it includes him going into the Hall of Fame. And why he would do it, I don't know, other than he got to go on television wearing his Global Force Wrestling thing and plugging Global Force Wrestling and wearing his shirt. And he doesn't have TV, and he's got all these shows. So I guess he thought that it would be good to have a plug. And there's more to it. It's probably some form of an invasion angle. And, what transpires from there, if there are negotiations going on, and there may very well be, they haven't been confirmed. I know that the deal wasn't finalized until today, although it was certainly very close to being final yesterday. And it was very interesting that Jeff in his interview mentioned Toby Keith, and that he had seen Toby Keith a couple days ago. I find that very interesting.
What I thought was most interesting about the interview was he announced that he is going to go to Slammiversary, and he is going to be in the King of the Mountain match. And he said
with a bunch of unknown people for an unknown purpose.
That's right. And he said that I did not leave on my own terms from here last time. I was fired. I can't remember if he said during a creative meeting. He said something. I was fired.
No, he said he was fired during a backstage promo by Sting,
right.
which was the worked storyline. And in fact, he was with the company for a long, long time after that, until he quit. Well after that period. So it's like he used a.
But the point was when he said that
he used a completely worked story as part of his shoot promo, which was.
Okay.
Which was what it was.
But the point was, when he said that on Sunday, I'm going to go out on my own terms in this King of the Mountain match. And he said it's the final time I'm going to walk down the TNA aisle. I thought that was an interesting choice of words.
Oh, with the idea that the next time he walks out, it's going to be the Global Force Wrestling aisle?
That's certainly what I thought when he said that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is talks going on in that direction. But I do know that today was a very interesting day at TNA. It was hilarious. But
nobody knows anything.
They kept it a secret from everyone. They actually formatted a television show a 2-hour show, and they didn't have like a whole when WWE does something like this where they don't want anyone to know. They'll just say it's a whole. They'll just say they'll have a blank thing for 8 minutes. I mean, this didn't have blank thing for 8 minutes. This had a 2-hour TV show. So when everything was done, they did, whatever it was, 2 hours and 8 minutes of taping because of that thing going over. And then they had to edit. So the production people had to edit stuff out of the planned television show before it aired, with very little time to do it because, they had to do that. And I just thought, it was a fascinating day there because, as we probably know, everyone in TNA has done nothing but badmouth Jeff Jarrett for the last 2 years and made fun of him and all that. And Bob Ryder, was just like kissing Jeff's ass like something unmerciful today. And people were just like, with all the stuff that he had said about Jeff, and I guess he wrote an article about Jeff. Like within a week or two ago, I think it was right. It was just a little over a week ago because it was right after his first, right after his first shows. And just everyone that has been doing nothing but saying bad stuff. Now they're all kissing up to him because they think that, maybe something's going on. And, Josh Matthews even made a joke about about all these people who said stuff, probably wishes they got their tweets back, people who'd ripped on Jeff for other reasons. And it's the wrestling business. So we'll see what happens. But, it was a very interesting day there. And he's going to be on the pay-per-view on Sunday. This mysterious pay-per-view where, now I have not watched the whole show. I've watched a lot of it, but I know that they sure haven't mentioned much about what's on the pay-per-view. I mean, they've given some matches, but none of the key matches they're building that were supposed to be on the pay-per-view are on the pay-per-view. The Knockouts title, which they had already announced this, but the Knockouts title match will be on TV. So they're just doing a 2-on-3 match with Kong and Brooke against Jade, Marty, and Taryn Terrell. The Aries and Rude versus Wolves 5th match is also going to be on TV. And in fact, in these matches that I'm talking about that were supposed to be on the pay-per-view originally are going to be taped on TV over the next couple of days. So like the pay-per-view is going to have a match with Aries against Richards, and the winner gets to pick the stipulations for the 5th match that will be taped before the pay-per-view.
How about that?
In the same building in front of the same fans as the pay-per-view. Now
they should do a swerve, and he should pick a different match live.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But the thing is, that doesn't necessarily give away. I mean, the people in the building on Sunday will know who has already won the match. But it's like when they won't necessarily know who has to win the pay-per-view match, because it could be, let's just say that the match they choose is a Texas Death Match, which I'm sure it won't be. It could be Aries wins and chooses this match, and it could be Richards wins and chooses this match. So it doesn't guarantee that you know who's going to win the match, but the match is completely meaningless because those people would have, it's not all the same people, but it's probably a lot of the same people will have already seen the tag team championship match whenever it's taped in the next couple of days. They're going to have, what is it? It's Bobby Lashley. So Bobby Lashley is not working Mexico. Bobby Lashley and Ken Anderson against Tyrus and EC3 on the pay-per-view. There's a King of the Mountain match. We know Jeff Jarrett's in it. We don't know anyone else who's in it. And there's Magnus and James Storm in like a non-sanctioned match. And so that's the direction of the pay-per-view. Yeah. Ridiculous. I mean, it's from what I saw, Vader was on the show working with Bram. So, Bram's going to wrestle Matt Morgan on the pay-per-view. They had Matt Morgan lay out Bram to set up that match. And Hernandez, I don't know if he's going to Mexico or not, because he's booked on that show as well in Mexico. But he was called, just a couple days ago. And no, it was more than a couple days ago, but MVP recruited him to take the Samoa Joe spot in the Beatdown Clan. So he's done with Lucha Underground. So it's not like, he's done with Lucha Underground. So that's the story on him. His version is that he didn't come to terms on a new deal, and their version is that he was working against AAA in Mexico, so they didn't want him back. So that's, I'm sure there's probably truth in both of those stories. So that's the deal with Hernandez.
Just so many fascinating things right here. Vader 60, Hernandez. Yep.
Well, I think Vader was just in for the match, and I was sad watching that. It just, it wasn't like it was that horrible. I mean, considering his age and everything, Vader wasn't really too bad, but it was just, he's really, really heavy, and he's really, it wasn't fun, and he had to pull his pants up while he was going to do his Vader splash, and Bram didn't beat him either, which I just thought, it's like, what the hell? Bram didn't even beat him. They did a DQ finish.
Huh. Well, maybe he's back in.
Didn't look like it at all, because he looked like the setup guy for Matt Morgan, which, I would...
Why in God's name would you not beat this man if he was only in for one appearance?
Well, why, if you have the choice of Matt Morgan and Vader, and one's the setup guy and one's, doing for TV to set up the pay-per-view and the other's the pay-per-view, why don't you do it in the other direction?
Well, he is 60.
Yeah, but who's a bigger name?
Well, he is for sure, bud.
Well, then there's your answer. Not that it merely makes a difference, because it's not like anyone's going to buy a pay-per-view to see Vader against Bram or Matt Morgan against Bram anyway. But It's just, to me, it's just like logical that you build the match to the bigger star as opposed to use the bigger star to build a match to a guy that nobody cares about. But I guess that may be just, another, what's the word I'm looking for? Like another facet of why TNA is where it is, because they have absolutely no concept of anything to do with wrestling. And yeah, it's a weird deal. That's for sure.
Well, we'll know more in the next couple of days, but a very, very weird day today. And again, I don't know what's going on either, but it's just all so weird.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say. The
people in TNA do not believe that there's an ownership change. Although Jeff will be, like I said, Jeff will be around, more than just King of the Mountain. I mean, as you know, the feeling there is there's some form of a Global Force Wrestling invasion angle that they're going to work. That's not official, but that's certainly the feeling. So it's kind of like they're going to have an invasion of I don't want to say a non-existent promotion, because they do exist and they are running shows, but who's going to be, who's Jeff going to use as invaders? Oh boy, can you imagine frickin' Brodus Clay?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's been horrible.
No, I mean, he was supposed to be booked on the Jeff shows, and he was told under no circumstances you work the Jeff shows because Jeff is our mortal enemy. And then today he sees Jeff right there on their TV.
Hey, plans change.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone, like I said, they've been bad-mouthing Jeff for years, ever since he quit and making fun of his promotion and the idea that he's going to be a promoter and all that. And then they call him up and want to bring him in, and everybody changed their tune.
And but it was funny how things work. Welcome to wrestling.
Well, yeah. That is wrestling. I'm just not sure. It's like there's a part of me that feels like this is much to do about nothing, because TNA is such a tainted brand that it's like.
That's the whole thing. When I was hearing rumors of an ownership change, it was like, why would anyone in their right mind buy TNA?
Well, the thing is if you could make a deal where you could actually convince Destination America to keep television, and you're buying onto a time slot, and you're going to rebrand it, and it's not going to be TNA anymore, and it's going to be Global Force Wrestling, and he can't get TV anywhere else, and he wants to be a promoter, then I could get that.
Why not wait until September, when the chances are strong they'll be off Destination America, then try to make your deal with Destination America for Global Force Wrestling with a whole different crew of people and a brand that hasn't been tainted over the last 14 years or whatever.
Who knows? Who knows what the answer is?
We don't know what happened, but when I was hearing these rumors today, I just couldn't even believe my ears.
Well,
that you would buy TNA.
Well, I mean, it was pretty weird him going on there with the T-shirt of his own promotion, talking on and on and on about his own promotion. The announcer's talking about his own promotion on TNA.
All right, we got to. We'll come back to MMA here in a bit, but we got to talk about TNA. There's tons of stuff going down. There is, believe it or not, still a Slammiversary pay-per-view taking place today. A King of the Mountain match for a newly created King of the Mountain title. God only knows why we need this belt. We've got Jarrett back. He's going to the TNA Hall of Fame. We've got people leaving. Where to begin?
They did the ceremony. The Hall of Fame ceremony is already done.
That's right. They're not even waiting for Bound for Glory, which tells me...
That's something, doesn't it? That says something right there.
I don't think they're long for this world.
A lot of people don't think they're long for this world. I hate to say it because they can go as long as they can go, but I'm sensing that the people with the money are, they're still, again, all these guys leaving, nobody being signed to new deals that's worth any money. It's nothing's looking good. Nothing's looking good. They taped so much. They taped so far ahead. I think that they're taped through July 29th or August 5th, which is 2 weeks longer. I was under the impression going in they were only taped until the 15th of July because the 22nd I figured they would do a live show. In fact, I was even told that. And obviously they are. So when they come back on the 22nd, they're going to have 22, 29, and maybe August 5. So they'll actually be several weeks done. So the next taping will take them all the way through the Destination American contract. So when this next taping is over, I mean, that could be it. You know, it really could. I'm not saying that it is, but it's everything is leading people to believe. And I know people in that company, you know, some think that it'll keep going, and others think that July is really going to be it. I don't think that there's there's a very good chance of Destination America renewing them. The rating on Wednesday, while, you know, they're 20% below roughly where they were on Friday. That's with the move that was supposed to bring them up. The Wednesday rating, they did between the two shows, I think it was 451,000 viewers. They were a little bit up for the live show or for the first run, a little bit down for the replay, but the number of viewers was almost identical to the week before. That's with live, and that's with the benefit of Twitter telling everyone that Jeff Jarrett's there, and they did the exact same number. And I know, Brian, you're shocked about that, but I know people in that company that were so, you know, like, this is, you know, it's live and Jeff Jarrett's going to be there and it's going to get out in social media. And it's like, this stuff doesn't make a difference. Ring of Honor was up. They're still well behind what TNA is doing. The Ring of Honor TV, as we mentioned on Wednesday, that was an incredible television show. I mean,
yes, it was.
I mean, not like great angles or anything, but you just had, you had two, a great match and an incredible match on the same show. So, what an easy hour to watch. The TNA show, which I later watched, I just felt sad. I mean, again, everything, it's like, it really doesn't matter what they do. We can criticize it. It doesn't matter. This pay-per-view is meaningless. I mean, it's so meaningless. I almost feel like again, like I don't even know why they're doing it, other than they got a commitment to do it. But they once they did those TVs the way they did, they gave up the idea of doing anything on the pay-per-view. That matters because everything's been taped ahead of time. We got all new champions. We got EC3 as TNA champion. We got who's the ex-champion? Well, that was Tigre Uno, who actually still has it. He actually won it on Wednesday. And then we got Taryn Terrell lost her title to Brooke. And the tag team champions are Edwards and Richards. They win the Iron Man match, which means that tomorrow, I don't even know who wins between Aries and Davey Richards, but whoever wins is going to name the stipulation, and I guess it's an Iron Man match.
Well, Aries is leaving, so probably Richards.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, Aries lost.
The fact that you said that means now he's probably not.
Well, yeah, but James Storm is leaving, and James Storm started a feud with Mahabili Shira.
Yeah, but my point is tomorrow's a live show, and so if you've got one guy leaving and one guy staying, if you've got any brain, you put over the guy who's staying.
Of course, you would think that. Okay, well, anyway, so Davey wins and he says Iron Man match. Okay, but James Storm today will be he taped his last match with the promotion. In theory, I suppose there's a chance he'll come back. I mean, I've seen that speculated on. I know that Magnus is done. Aries lost a loser leave town, so he's done. Who else is done? Storm is done as far as I know. I mean, his contract is up on Tuesday, and it's not. The deal with all these people is essentially that they weren't getting new deals at the same money, so it was just kind of like, we can't offer you anything. And they're all looking to get, make a deal with whoever they can. I know Magnus is going to be a free agent. He is working for Jarrett on the Global show, on the Global TV taping on the 24th, and probably other dates for Jarrett as well. But he's not signing with Jarrett. He's not with Jarrett. He's a free agent that will work shows for Jarrett. Mickie James is going to work for Jarrett. So I guess she's done as well. Although she was pretty much done anyway, but she is on these tapings, and she actually does do a match on the tapings. But Storm's last match was against Mahabali Shera, who he turned on, and it was a DQ finish. He did not get beat, which in theory makes no sense.
Is it possible that he was beaten and then decided to leave?
He lost by DQ.
Lost by DQ, yeah. But I mean, is it possible they did that and they had things planned and then he announced he was no longer going to be with them?
No, because that was taped today, and they've already known. They knew before today that he was done.
Then I have no explanation except that they expect him to come back.
And he maybe he's agreed to come back for the next tapings just as a freelancer or something. But he's a free agent; and he can make a deal. That is possible. Yeah, Kurt's not going to be the next tapings, most likely. He needs neck surgery for a tumor, apparently. So, anyway, Aries lost to Spud.
You say apparently like you're not sure.
Well, I asked people there, and they weren't sure. Yeah.
Apparently there was a tweet that he sent out about a year ago where he talked about how he had a tumor in his neck, which apparently was benign. So the story has been around, and I guess now it's causing some problems, hence he's having it removed. But if it's a made-up story, it's a story he made up well over a year ago. So I presume it's true.
Yeah, I presume it's true, too, because I can't imagine them doing that. But it couldn't be that serious in the sense of he worked a bunch of matches this week. He did an angle today, so it's not like he's avoiding physical contact. But if he's having...
No, it sounded more like it was something that was maybe like, I'm not a doctor, but pushing on a nerve or something that was causing some issues. Not something that, this is a life or death deal here, but just it's best to get it out now, and hopefully he can get some strength back.
You know what? I got, again, it's Kurt, but if that's the case, why did he even bother wrestling these tapings? Why do you do these last couple matches?
Because he's Kurt Angle and he's crazy.
But, if you're going to, if you've got...
Like, but this is Kurt Angle we're talking about.
I mean, if you're having atrophy and things like that, it's like, okay, that's time to stop. If you're,
how many other times in his career? He wrestled for an Olympic medal with a broken neck. I'm sure he's had atrophy many times before other neck surgeries. It's just what he does.
Yeah, but it's not. When you get to be 46 years old, almost 47,
you'd think.
And again, if this company was like on the rise or something, or was important, it'd be one thing. But he's not on the pay-per-view because they couldn't book him on the pay-per-view because he's the world champion, even though he's already lost it, so they can't put him on the pay-per-view. So it's not even a pay-per-view. It's a bunch of not that the TV is actually more important than the pay-per-view now, but it's just a bunch of TV matches that, even if it was just like, okay, you've got the title, you got to lose the title. I could see that. But he worked a couple of matches after losing the championship. That why bother?
I don't know. Got Jeff Jarrett going into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
we mentioned that already taped.
They did the ceremony. Which,
by the way, Jarrett's coming in and they're doing an angle on television where Dixie is returned. She's now a babyface,
right?
Because they're going to be doing an invasion angle, but they've already taped the Hall of Fame for a long time down the road, where Dixie and TNA do the induction and they're friends with Jeff. I mean, what the hell's happening here?
Well, I think
are you waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to start this invasion?
Yes, that's what it seems like.
Oh my! Do they have the time?
No, they don't have it. I mean, if it's going to start on August 12th or something, TV on August 12th or 19th or something,
it's going to be a quick invasion. It's going to be a quick war.
It's going to be in and out. Yeah. It's just a bad situation there. The whole situation, and then the other thing is that the guys who are with Jeff, I mean, that's the other thing. Jeff's not even going to be in all the next TVs because he's got a show in Vegas. So it's like he can't. I don't think that he can, as the promoter and everything and the producer of the show. I don't think that Jeff can come to the next tapings until at least the fourth day, because I just don't see him like working like the day before his own big TV pilot taping, have him in Orlando doing some angle, and then flying to Vegas and getting there, like in the afternoon before the show. I got to think that Jeff's going to be there for a couple days before. So my gut is the earliest Jeff is coming out is the 25th. And that would be a tough call because he's traveling west to east. So he may, I guess he might be able to get there by the end of the taping. But the point I'm saying is 22, 23. There's at least 3 days of tapings that they're doing, which the way they do taping is probably 5 weeks of television. Where, I guess he can do stuff when he gets there and tape stuff for those other days. So it's not as bad as I just made it out to be, but it's still, because they do tape out of order and they do tape things, So, but the point is that at least for 3 days, I'm thinking that he can't be at the next set of tapings. If he's, so, and this whole thing can fall apart anyway, because everything about it is very tenuous. And, again, if it completely fell apart, it wouldn't shock me. I don't think it will, but how much there's going to be, who even knows?
Is it possible that they air the Jarrett Hall of Fame induction at the beginning of the Slammiversary pay-per-view? I guess that wouldn't work either because they've already taped the television. He's not there. Fuck it, who cares? Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Almost certainly the final TNA pay-per-view of all time. Can you believe that, Vinny?
I've been teased so often before.
Just don't believe it till it happens.
This company is in every way like a cockroach. Can't be killed.
What an amazing show it was. It was almost everything you could possibly want at a TNA. There wasn't any goofy booking, unless you consider...
There wasn't?
Well, the main event was pretty fucking goofy. But I don't know.
We saw guys on there last night getting wins over guys who are sticking around.
You're right. What the fuck am I talking about?
I don't know. I think you blocked all this out of your mind already.
Holy shabba-dabba.
Champions retaining or appearing with belts they've already lost.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of goofy booking on the show.
This was not like a terrible show.
It really wasn't. And I was tweeting about it, and people were like, oh my God, I can't wait for this. Review's going to be great. I should have watched the replay. And no, there were moments of train wreckness. But this was not an all-time terrible show. I don't think this will be the worst show of the year.
No, of course not.
But it was in many ways a great summary of all of TNA's problems over the past decade plus.
Complete with Jeff Jarrett ending the show holding a belt up high.
Yeah. After winning a reverse ladder match with a penalty box and pins.
Oh, there's actually so much to talk about. I don't want to dissuade anybody from listening to this show, but anybody that is expecting, I don't know what people are expecting. They're really excited for this show. I hope we deliver.
Sure.
But this show was not... Well, let's just get going. Who knows where this will lead?
All right. First of all, the announcers said they were there to celebrate 13 amazing years.
Holy Christ.
That is actually, if you take it literally, it is true. These 13 years of this company have been amazing.
Well, that's undoubtedly true.
We got a bunch of historic TNA clips of men who no longer work here. And it was all set to orchestra music that was supposed to be epic and grand, but it sounded very, very sad. And this whole time I was thinking, this company, with this show, it's Slammiversary, which I didn't even realize. I just thought it was TNA's pay-per-view. I don't think of the names. This is the anniversary show. This was everyone's very old grandfather who manages to hang on for one more birthday. On his way out the door. That's exactly what the show was.
Can you imagine if for our 10-year anniversary, I just did like a bunch of radio clips of people no longer associated with the website? I mean, who would do that?
I don't know. DJZ versus Manic versus Tigre Uno for the X Division Championship.
Well, we should mention, by the way, the commentary team was... I had heard it was going to be Josh Matthews and Jeremy Borash, but instead they went with Mike Tenay making his return to the booth, the Pope, and Josh Matthews.
Yeah.
And why it took them this long to figure out that Mike Tenay can do commentary is a mystery to me. Unfortunately, he was working with Josh Matthews and the Pope. So when they lost audio later in the show and you couldn't hear the announcers, it was a win!
Pope, throughout this show, appeared to have not watched any professional wrestling in at least a half decade.
Including his own career.
Including himself. He referenced, somebody hit one of his moves, I don't know what it was, but he said, hey, that looked like Elijah Burke out there.
Shades of Elijah Burke, he said.
And Josh says, you mean D'Angelo De Niro? and then later he called Mr. Kennedy, he called Mr. Anderson Mr. Kennedy, and Josh quickly corrected him. Lots of talking about stuff that happened in Ohio Valley a decade ago.
You know what was amazing about that is every time we get talking about Ohio Valley, somebody has to bring up that, you're romanticizing Ohio Valley. It wasn't that good. It was just some DVDs. Here's this fucker. The highlight of his career is Ohio Valley. That's all he could do was talk about Ohio Valley wrestling.
Yeah. All right. So, yes, DJZ versus Manic versus Tigre Uno. This was basically this is a watered-down Young Bucks match.
Kind of.
It was small people moving really fast, doing 1,000 moves, but they were sloppier and...
essentially, it was every X Division match we've seen in the past few years now.
Yeah, just 10-plus minutes of moves. And then Tigre killed DJZ with a slam into the corner. Then he killed him with a kick in the corner. Then he killed him with a corkscrew senton and pinned him to eliminate him. And after 10 minutes of battle to get one guy out and get it down to 2, they gave this exactly 0 seconds to sink in, and the other two dudes just kept fighting. They did a month's worth of finishers, and then Tigre won with another corkscrew senton.
Wasn't bad. It was just it was a generic 3-way. It was an elimination match, and
I will remember none of this when I wake up tomorrow.
I barely remember anything, except all I remember is they went 10 minutes without an elimination, and then they did 2 eliminations in a minute, and the match was over. Which begs the question, why did you bother doing an elimination match?
Yeah, that's true.
I think they think that if we announce there's a 3-way match, nobody will care. But if we announce it's an elimination match, then people will buy the show. Wrong.
Jeremy Borash was backstage. He thanked everyone who'd ever worked with the company. He talked about how he had been there for every Impact, every pay-per-view. Been there since day one. Oh, it's been all so great working with all of you. And my God, this sounded like a man saying goodbye.
This literally sounded like a farewell promo. I don't know goddamn anything right now, actually, but I think the idea was that it's an anniversary show. And so on anniversaries, you thank everybody for all they've done for you.
I see.
But for the life of me, this sounded like Jeremy Borash bidding us all farewell on the final TNA show he ever does. They got 5 weeks of television already taped. If they never do another taping, this was his last show. Everybody's. They're done.
Yeah. So, next match was Robbie E versus Jesse Goddard.
You got to talk about Robbie's promo.
Well, was that with Borash?
Where he was clucking?
First, he was crazy Robbie E, and it was very annoying. Then he was trying to be serious Robbie E, and I'm not sure that was any less annoying.
He said...
This bromance breakup is not a good thing.
Yeah, his former partner tried to kill him and take away his love for pro wrestling, and tonight he was going to make him his bitch.
In that order, by the way.
Yeah.
Taking away his love for pro wrestling, worse than killing him.
I just like that you mentioned, well, to be fair, you'd have to kill him to take away his love for pro wrestling.
Sure. So, Jesse now calls himself the Man. Comes out in a plain black robe. He is every 1970s heel.
It ain't that plain. It's got a very, very, very furry collar.
That's true. It says the Man on the back.
Yes.
I guess my standards for plainness have changed, but he is straight out of the 1970s. Okay, I will not lie to you. This was not a particularly good match, but I liked it a lot. Just because these two dudes got in there and fought.
Yeah.
And I believed these men were pissed at each other and wanted to beat each other up.
I didn't think this was bad, and I kind of thought it was sort of good, but it went forever.
It did go much longer than it needed to.
Think about this. They opened with the 3-way. They had one interview with Borash, and then they did this match. This match ended at 40 minutes after the top of the hour.
Yes.
That should tell you something.
But, they were working hard. They were sloppy a lot. I did like, there was one point where Robbie did a pescado very early on. He had to ring a house of fire and just lit into Jesse. And he hits this dive, and Jesse is barely in position to catch him and has to, essentially run run to save Jesse's life or save Robbie's life. And Robbie was coming out head first and out of control. And it was sloppy and scary. But at the same time, if you hate a man and you're going to kill him by launching your entire body at him, you're not going to wait for him to get in a position. You're just going to dive, and what happens.
Spoken like a true angry man.
That's right. There were a lot of bear hugs here. There was a botched powerbomb that went so badly, Jesse just gave up and turned it into a bear hug. There were actually a lot of botched powerbombs, or nearly botched powerbombs. Like, over and over, he kept trying this move, and it didn't go quite right. And he's beating Robbie up, and then Robbie just hits a reverse DDT and wins.
That's right.
That was strange, but this was not good, but it was fun.
But you know what? The fans were into it. They kind of started to lose the fans at the end.
It went way too long.
Because it went too long.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fans were into this.
Yeah.
So more power to these men.
This definitely is a thumbs up.
So far, this show was fine.
Yeah. Borash interviewed Matt Hardy backstage. He said he win tonight in King of the Mountain would prove he was a great singles wrestler, not just a great tag team guy.
That's right.
Bram versus Matt Morgan.
Oh, my God.
First giant thumbs down of the show, having to hear Matt Morgan's music again.
His music is terrible.
It sucks.
They showed I hadn't seen Matt Morgan in like 2 years. They showed a video package of his return on TV, and I should have known he'd be there in his designer jeans. You know what I mean?
His jeans were more expensive than anyone else's gear on the show.
Some things never change.
Speaking of never changing, every time I see him, I always think, when is he ever going to get that back tattoo finished? I guess it's done.
You know what I thought about when I saw Matt Morgan? I saw a guy who's really big, and he's got a good physique, and he's still waiting for the day that alone makes him money. And here we are in 2015, and it's still not working. And the announcers are salivating over him. Matt Morgan is the blueprint of what a wrestler should look like. TNA called him a can't-miss prospect. Here in 2015, 12 fucking years after he debuted, we're still waiting. He's missed for 12 years. When's it going to happen? I'll give him credit. He was in shape. That's all I can say.
Well,
Punches sucked. The match sucked. And on top of all that, I'll let you talk about the match here in a second, but to cut to the chase, Matt Morgan came out, and like Elijah Burke, he has not been watching any wrestling of late, because the first thing he did was say, hey, Bram, let's do a street fight. Now, in storyline, Bram's gimmick is street fights. That's all he does is street fights. One fucking street fight after another. So Matt Morgan comes out and he challenges Bram to a street fight. What fucking happens? Well, first off, he does a match where all of his moves are done in the ring, in a wrestling ring. Wrestling moves in a wrestling ring. And then finally, at the end, he gets hit with a gimmick and pinned. What a fucking idiot.
Matt Morgan, the can't-miss prospect, is 38 years old.
Yeah.
So the announcers are talking about how he's 7 feet tall. Then they claim Bram is 6'9".
I felt like Daniel Bryan during this match when he called out the tall guy on Tough Enough. You missed this.
I did.
Oh, man. There's a tall guy who, by the way, is Vince's favorite guy.
Of
You'd
course.
be stunned.
Yeah.
He looks like a cross between Roman Reigns and forget the other guy. Kind of a Kevin Nash-ish guy. He's got the hair. He's really tall. He's got a physique. Good-looking guy. Vince loves him. And at the end of the show, the three judges, Daniel Bryan, Hogan, and Paige, all choose one guy who's on the chopping block. And then the fans get to vote in and vote for who's eliminated.
All right.
So Paige chose this fucker named Hank, who was literally, I mean, he was the definition of a lump. And he's the one that ended up getting eliminated. But Daniel Bryan chooses the tall guy, who I can't even remember his name. But Bryan just calls him out and he just says, you're tall and you're good looking. He didn't say it exactly like this, but this is essentially what he said. You're tall, you're good looking, you're making fun of people's size. I'm short, and you suck. It's essentially what he said.
Was he wrong?
You're trying to make a career because you're big. And it's fucking 2015, and you need everything in addition to that. Being big is no longer enough in any way.
No.
Unless you're like the Great Khali and you're 7'2" or 7'4" or whatever. That's a one exception. If you're the tallest wrestler in the world, that's a one exception. Other than that, you better be able to talk, you better be able to work, you better be able to connect. And Matt Morgan is out there trying to coast on the fact that he's big.
Even Khali has a bizarre charisma to him.
He does!
He can't move at all, but he has more than just size. Anyway, So this match, it was a street fight. They did every garbage spot you ever saw, all brawling on the floor, all weapon shots. And then, I don't know what, Morgan's down in the ring, and Bram decides it's time to use a different weapon. So he goes and he looks under the apron, and there's nothing there. He goes to the next side of the apron, and there's nothing there. And he's digging around, hunting and pecking, and he can't find whatever the hell he's looking for.
Maybe if there weren't 6 fucking sides, he could find it.
I believe he went to all 6 sides in search of whatever this weapon might have been. The whole time, Morgan is down in the ring pointing to his throat, and I actually thought maybe he's hurt very badly, and Bram is desperately stalling for time here. So Bram gets in the ring, he picks up a chair, he puts the chair back down, he gets out of the ring, Morgan's still down in the corner, and then at last, Bram gives up on the great weapon hunt of 2015. He failed to find it like they have failed to find the Holy Grail for the past couple thousand years. And he gets back in the ring, and Morgan just does his comeback.
Yeah.
So they go on for a while, and
I can only imagine what this gimmick must have been.
I don't care. Bram won with the DDT onto a chair. I gave this 1 star, and in hindsight, that was way too generous.
I'm presuming that Matt Morgan claims he's retired and he got some big money job. I hope that's the case. I hope the man is making a lot of money and providing for his family, and we don't have to see him wrestling again. But if this was supposed to be the beginning of his comeback,
no,
I will be
not
1,000 times as furious.
This cannot happen.
The idea that you would come back after 2 years off of wrestling and put on a performance like this, doing nothing. Anyway.
Borash interviewed EC3 and Tyrus. And this actually pissed me off, not because of anything Ethan did or said that was bad, but the whole point of this was to plug Ethan's match against Kurt Angle this Wednesday. You will recall that match was pulled from this pay-per-view because they realized no one was going to watch the pay-per-view anyway, so let's put it on TV. Which begs the question, if they know no one's watching the pay-per-view...
It's a little different, Vinny.
All right.
So my understanding is the reason that they moved it was because of the taping schedule they had. Because they didn't want to tape 5 weeks of television with EC3 as the champion, and then he would go into the pay-per-view and then win the championship.
Ah, okay.
That was their big issue. So what they did instead was, in the same building, they taped 5 weeks of television, including a title change, and then on the pay-per-view he came out and pretended he wasn't the champion.
All right.
I, honest to God, don't know which is dumber.
I accept that. But then it begs the question, every single person who bought this pay-per-view, who paid $50 to watch the show, those are the people who will not miss Impact if they are under gunfire. Those people are watching the show anyway. So advertising is still a waste of time.
Well, you're right.
This all pissed me off.
But my bigger, I still don't understand which one is worse. To have the guy defend the title before he wins it, or to have the guy win the title and then pretend he hadn't won it.
I don't know.
All of this happening in front of the same live crowd.
Yeah. Austin Aries versus Davey Richards in one of my all-time favorite matches.
This actually was a lot of fun.
This was
the best match on the show by far.
Okay, before you get to that, well, it's out now. This was 2 guys, one of whom, was this Aries last night?
Yes.
Okay. One of whom has literally quit the company. The other has been around long enough to know this company ain't long for this world. And so these guys went out there, and their effort level on a scale of 1 to 10 was maybe a 2. They took a night off. This was beyond quarter assing. Now, when I say that, they're so good that Austin Aries and Davey Richards at 25% was still the best match in the show.
Yes. I once argued that guys like Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair are so good that if they went out and actively tried to have a bad match, it would still be good. This is proof.
This is as close to that as we're going to see.
Because Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels are better than both of these men, and these men both did go out there, and to be fair, for the first 3/4 of the match, it was a 2 out of a 10. The last 5 minutes, it was probably a 4 or 5 out of 10. I will give them that. They really did pick it up at the end. But it was I'm not even holding it against the guys.
No, they're smart.
It was amazing how much they got out of nothing.
I admire them for choosing to take this. I'll say it. I admire them for choosing to take the easy road, and I also respect them for being so good they didn't make the easy road look easy.
No, they went out there and went easy, and they still had a good match.
Yeah.
Because that's what wrestling used to fucking be.
Yes. That was the whole goal.
Now people have to leave a territory in order to do it.
The goal was to do something totally safe and protected and make it seem like there was an illusion of danger and grief. Now it's kill yourself as bad as you can, but pretend it doesn't hurt. Anyway, so for the first 5 minutes, they would do go behinds and arm drags and headlocks, and occasionally Davey would get the better. And Davey would get the better of him, and Aries would go outside and stall. And they just did this over and over again, and it was great. And then finally, we had a crazy high spot. Austin Aries did a double axe handle from the top rope to the floor.
I couldn't even believe he pulled that out. I was like, are you out of your mind?
So they're going through this.
At least at tope, you're getting caught. That double sledge off the top rope is just hell on your knees.
He is very small.
That is true.
Yeah. So Davey makes his comeback and he hits his tope and he hits this kick in the ring. And Austin sells this kick by spinning around, jumping straight up, and falling straight down on his ass.
And then rolling to his back.
I had just realized thinking about this, I once saw Eddie Gilbert take this exact same bump. So I don't know if that's where he got it, but it was great.
Who cares? It was great.
It was great either way. That was the point where I realized, and not that it should have been a mystery, but at that point I realized Austin gave absolute zero fucks about this.
Of course.
And why would he? The announcers talked about Pope doing extra preparation for this, said he was trying to impress someone, almost outright saying he was looking for a new job. So Aries had a flurry of offense that included not one, not two, but 3 ear claps.
Yes.
They hit some strikes in the corner for a while. They tease, dropping each other on their heads. Then Davey hits a foot stomp for a near fall. Then Bobby Roode comes out. Then Eddie Edwards comes out. And they start brawling. And you'll never guess what happened here in 2015, everyone. Davey was distracted, and Aries won with a schoolboy.
That's correct.
The most dangerous move in the world.
Hey, it gets better. One fucker's leaving. One fucker's staying. And as God is my witness, on the show last night, I specifically said if they had a fucking clue, Davey would go over. And I began to laugh. Thinking, of course. Sure as shit, Austin Aries beats Davey Richards in his last night in the promotion on the fucking way out. And I realize they've got shows taped where Davey's going to win and everything like that, but holy shit, come on.
So, the Dirty Heels then cut a promo.
And Aries howled at the fact that he won.
Yeah. He said, we now get to pick the Stips for the 5th match in our tag team series.
The Stipth.
I'm lisping again. And he says, we get to pick the Stips for the 5th match in our tag team series, which, by the way, has that been taped?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course it has.
We already knew the Stip.
So he announces it will be a bra and panties match. And then he says, just kidding. Then he says it will be a 30-minute Iron Man match.
I hope he went into business for himself with the bra and panties and just had everyone backstage pissing themselves.
I hope so, too.
I mean, this guy's on his way out. They just gave him a win, and then they gave him a live mic.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, man.
My dad likes to tell the
You're
story.
asking for it.
My dad likes to tell the story of when he was in high school. A local radio station fired their DJ and then put him on the air for his last shift. And so as a result, for 4 hours, he played Yakety Yak over and over and over and over again. That's basically what Aries should have done here. And pretty much what he did, in fact. So let's think about this match for a minute. A 30-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah.
First of all, 30 minutes instead of 60. Second of all, it's a tag team match, so if you get tired, you can tag out. This is not the grueling endurance test an Iron Man match should be.
No, it's really not.
This is the best match of the year between two guys who totally took the night off.
Yeah.
And it was far and away the best match in the show.
This match gets 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. It's a hell of a match. Eric Young cut a promo backstage screaming about how he was not afraid of anyone, but Jeff Jarrett should be. That proved to be true. Dollhouse versus Awesome Kong and Brooke. Did they actually listen to the lyrics to Doll Parts before they picked it as music for this group? It's about how being a doll is a bad thing and sucks, and it makes you want to get revenge in the world.
Well, hey, made sense tonight. Taryn, by the way, spoiler, also has lost the championship, but she's out here with the belt.
Yep.
I was hoping they'd do something where, like, Brooke is the champion right now. So I was hoping they'd do something where she pinned Brooke so that now she would be the linear champion.
God.
That'd be awesome. They actually didn't do it, which is, if I would have made a bet last night, I would have bet they would have. Like, somebody would have pinned EC3 in the tag match, or somebody would have pinned, I guess it wouldn't matter in a tag match, but...
Pro wrestling should not make my brain hurt with time travel storylines. That's basically what we're doing here. So Taryn got a horrible promo about how sexy they were and what a great champ she was.
She's amazing. I love her.
So there were a lot of spots here where the heels had to get in position for a move and then stand there and wait for the baby faces to hit it. Like, Jade was in the corner just standing there, and then Kong splashed her. And then Taryn ended up in that same corner.
No, it was Marty and Jade end up together, and they get run together, and so they're hugging.
Okay. I think Taryn was in the middle.
No, Taryn was on the apron.
Oh, never mind.
So Kong is getting ready to run, but she's playing to the crowd. So literally they're just standing there hugging each other, pretending they're unconscious for like 10 seconds.
So then later, Kong's beating up Jade, and she hits a splash, makes a cover.
Kong looked great, by the way. Maybe sure. Great is going too far, but she's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, she still has trouble moving, but she is definitely slimmer. So Kong hits a splash on Jade and makes a cover. Marty tries to break this up by splashing Kong. Kong dodges, so Marty splashes Jade, and for some reason, this knocks Marty out. They just lie there in a pile for like 20 seconds, and finally Kong splashes on top of them.
I just love the classic moment of, for God only knows what reason, they do the referee doesn't see the tag spot, where the babyface gets the tag, but the referee was distracted, and the referee turns around and says, "I didn't see the tag! That is not allowed!" So, of course, because it's TNA, they fuck up the timing. And so, immediately afterwards, when the ref is done switching them, Marty does the deal where she claps her own hands to pretend like she made a tag. And, of course, the ref turns around and he's looking right at her, and she makes a fake tag. He doesn't do anything. It's like, this would only happen on Slammiversary.
So they beat up Brooke for a while. Oh, I should mention, by the way, to be fair, to say, reasons this was not the worst show of the year. Close-up of Brooke's ass in HD.
Sure.
That is great.
Yeah, I bought the HD version, everybody. Mm-hmm. $34.95 I paid for this.
Justified for that half-second shot right there. So, Kong gets a hot tag. She runs wild in a cartoony and silly matter. No one could possibly believe this was, it was one of those comebacks where you point at the screen and go, that's phony. And then Brooke hit Jade with a top rope X Factor that they called the Butterface Maker.
Yeah.
For the win. That was not very good.
Can you imagine trying to clear these fucking stupid names with Vince? Never happen. Never.
Borash interviewed Magnus.
The Botox injection. Can you imagine trying to run that by Vince? Anyway.
Borash interviewed Magnus. Let's review. In the past less than a month now, James Storm has attempted to murder Magnus's wife. Actually, let's go back. He attempted to steal Magnus's wife, then murder her.
You forget steal the child as well.
Then teased stealing and murdering the child. And Magnus here was so pissed off that he began to talk about the history of the company and all they had accomplished. Then he said two of his brightest stars were about to appear on pay-per-view for the last time. I think he was actually choking up, talking about how this place was home for 6 years. At last, he addressed the actual storyline that was going on, saying it would not be about how much he hated James Storm, it would be about how much he loved his family. So Storm versus Magnus in an unsanctioned match. So they're brawling on the floor.
Did you mention when he flat out just said goodbye?
No, but why don't you?
That's a rather important... Fuck the rest of it. He flat out came and admitted that him and James Storm were performing here on pay-per-view for the last time.
I did say that, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And they had a everyone leaves town match.
Both of us get out match.
Yeah. Someone on Twitter had the suggestion they should have just brawled to the parking lot, both got in their cars and drove off.
That would have been money.
I was distracted, by the way. I had someone sent me a tweet that they saw online of someone who thought this was better than any WWE show since 2010. This is why it's impossible to take TNA fans seriously. Come on!
All right. So they're brawling on the floor, and they go back to a corner of the arena. And this corner of the arena, totally at random, there's a table set up with like concessions. It's got paper cups and napkins.
It had plates and metal silverware.
Was it metal?
Yes!
I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, hoping it would be plastic. So they go over there. Magnus gets backdropped through it, and they leave. Now, it's important to note here, because this comes back. Magnus got backdropped through it, not just a table, but a table covered in knives and forks.
Yeah.
And he's fine. So, table spots, not all they're cracked up to be. Then they go backstage.
Yes.
And the referee shouts at least 500 times, "Guys, it's high voltage.
Get out of here. It's high voltage.
Guys, it's high voltage." And they're back there, and Magnus kicks a fuse box or something. And the lights go out in the arena, and the screens go to a test pattern, and the crowd begins to boo because they're bored now.
Yeah, I think they thought this was going to get a giant pop, but nobody gave two shits about it.
No, just being bored.
And maybe 5 is not literal. And no longer than 25 seconds later, all the lights are back on. But then, I don't know what they did, but they fucked up the audio.
We'll get to that. So,
what was the point of this spot?
I don't know.
To put the lights out for 10 seconds?
I guess.
Who cares?
I don't know.
The crowd didn't.
No.
I didn't.
So they go back to the ring, and James Storm gets powerbombed through a table. And this is so devastating that 2 minutes later, James Storm is setting up a table on the floor. I swear to you, setting up the table, unfolding the legs, turning it over, setting it upright, that takes more out of a wrestler than being slammed through it. And yet they keep setting them up. I don't know why. So Magnus ended up flying off the top rope with an elbow smash through this table. It actually looked terribly painful.
It's funny because he goes to this table and "This is awesome" chant begins. And you got angry as usual and you're just like, fuck off. And I was like, Vinny, it sounds like maybe 8 children. And I believe your response was, fuck those children.
I said, I hate children.
I hate children. But the point of all of this is, it suddenly hit me that Magnus is fighting for children. James Storm tried to kidnap a child and kill the mother. Magnus is fighting for children, and they're happy that he almost died going through a table.
They were much happy. They were like James Storm much more. Yeah, when the crowd chanted, "This is awesome," I tweeted out, "This is repetitive and redundant," because that's what it was. And on that note, after this big table bump, this then became every WWE main event of the past decade or so. Do a big move, kick out of it. Do a big move, kick out of it. There was a cowbell. There was 100 super kicks. There was Monsel powder. And then finally, they stretched a guardrail across 2 chairs. Storm got superplexed through that. He kicked out. And then they broke bottles over each other's heads. And with 2 men on their way out of the company, Magnus took a back bump, Storm took a front bump, and Storm's limp body fell on top of Magnus's limp body, and Storm's limp body won.
It's Goldberg Brock all over again. Maybe one of them will go to UFC and win the title. Doubtful.
That would win your prediction contest for sure. UFC middleweight champion James Storm. With a super kick, man. I'm sure.
And then they're leaving, and Storm is trying to say goodbye to everybody, and we got our first to the back! Quick! To the back. He's saying goodbye! This was all right.
It was fine. It was not awesome.
No.
It was more just ridiculous than anything else.
Yes, it was just preposterous. But they worked very hard, and it was all right. They did way more than they should have, both being on the way out.
That's for sure.
Magnus.
I don't respect them as much as I respect Arias
flying
Richards.
elbow, nearly fucking killing himself through that table.
I don't know why. Boras interviewed Drew Galloway. He promised the end of the Beatdown Clan on Wednesday. Said tonight was his first pay-per-view main event and the biggest match of his career.
That's what he said.
While that is pathetic and sad, This is a hell of a promo.
It was a great promo.
Great promo.
But it was ridiculous.
He did all he could to make this scene important and critical to a man's career instead of the waste of time we all knew it would be.
He said it was the biggest night of his wrestling career. I got news for this guy. Based on stats, this was one of the smaller nights of your career, buddy.
So,
then
after that, a good 15 minutes after Storm and Magnus. By the way, I actually wrote this down at the time. When they were brawling back by the backstage area and in the high voltage area, and then the lights went out, I was hoping that would be a deliberate attempt by James Storm and, I should say his real name, Nick Aldis. Their attempt to get TNA's last pay-per-view dark. To screw the company on their way out the door. That would have been awesome. But regardless, the show continued, and then 15 minutes later, the announcer's audio went dead. We couldn't hear anything they were saying. Occasionally, we would hear them talking, and it would be, "Hit it, slam it, hello?" That went on for a few minutes. So what we got was a bunch of geeks in the ring.
That's exactly what go, actually.
Yeah, that's how it sounded. Probably even more annoying than that, if that's possible. So what we got for seriously 2 minutes of TV time, a bunch of geeks in the ring sweeping shit up, and either dead silence from the announcers or broken audio. We hear the annoying TNA theme music over and over again. Then they get were done cleaning the ring, so we just got shots of an empty ring for a while.
Yeah.
If this is, in fact, the last TNA pay-per-view of all time, I think I can think of no more fitting tribute to the company than this 15 minutes of audio death. So appropriate. Eventually, they just went on with the next match. It was EC3 and Tyrus versus Mr. Anderson and Lashley.
This was a complete waste of time.
And a shitty one. I mean, I have seen wastes of time that were at least competent. This is a waste of time that accomplished nothing and sucked.
God bless Tyrus. He's so terrible.
I think it gets worse every show.
And Lashley comes out with a Bellator shirt on, promoting an organization that airs on Spike. Of course, they beat him, which I shouldn't be surprised now that I think about it.
In hindsight, yeah, I get why they... okay, it doesn't matter. There's no saving the ship. I understand that. But there's like 3 people in the company who have any kind of star potential, and Lashley's one of them. And they beat him in this match. And it's worse than that even, because it starts off and Anderson and Lashley are just taking turns throwing Ethan down and posing and mocking and having fun. And then Lashley, the Destroyer, the super intense, legit fighter, champion of the world, he absent-mindedly wanders into the heel corner and Tyrus chokeslams him for the heat.
Yes.
Lashley forgot what he was doing, and that's how they cut him off. And then, of course, at the end, he gets pinned. So they're working over Anderson for a while. Lashley misses the hot tag, but everyone pretends he got it, and he starts suplexing Ethan all over the place. Then they do the spot where Tyrus is the big monster, so Lashley and Anderson are taking turns punching him, and he's weebling and wobbling back and forth between them. And there's an art to this, and Tyrus doesn't have it down.
No.
He's not the barely keeping his balance monster is not in his repertoire yet.
He was impersonating the ring.
Just not moving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stand there and don't move, no matter what you get hit with.
Yeah. So finally, Lashley spins Tyrus, and then Ethan pins Lashley with a headlock DDT.
The number 1 contender, they said, EC3, gets the win with his 1%er. This was just a waste of time. This would have been bad on television, and it was on pay-per-view. In the death spot, I might add.
Yeah.
That was that. God, I'm losing steam right at the point in my article where I was losing steam.
Borash interviewed the Jarrett's backstage.
This will wake me up.
I don't know what she was wearing, but I liked her side boob.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Jarrett says that what he had done the past 4 days had the whole wrestling business buzzing. You fucking liar.
Wow.
No one cares, dude.
Well, you know what? It actually did have the wrestling business buzzing, because everything going on with TNA in the last 4 days was incredible. It wasn't buzzing like everybody was excited for the show. That would be a lie. But the business was buzzing about what was going on with TNA.
If you say so.
Trust me, it was.
Thank God I'm not in that business. So he He vowed to win the belt and take it to Global Force.
You were baffled.
I realized they're doing King of the Mountain. I didn't know what they'd be hanging above the ring, but I had no idea there was a belt at stake here. I thought, is Kurt Angle in the match? Is the TNA Championship on the line? Then you explained, no. For this exclusive match and for this angle, they brought back the global title. They renamed it the King of the Mountain title.
Yeah.
And that was what was at stake here.
But they didn't tell you it was the old TNA Legends title. They tried to convince you it was a new belt.
Yeah. Now, okay, I understand this was done just so Jeff could win it and leave, which says a lot about TNA right there. But let's pretend this was real. Were they actually going to have a championship that would only be defended in King of the Mountain matches?
I don't know what it was going to mean.
What in the hell?
I don't know what it was going to mean.
What is going on?
But they taped 5 weeks of television. There's no King of the Mountain title, so I pretty much knew who was going to win this match.
Yes, that was a clue. So the main event was for the King of the Mountain Championship in a King of the Mountain match. Drew Galloway versus Eric Young versus Matt Hardy versus Bobby Roode versus Jeff Jarrett in the most absolute random selection of 5 men there could possibly be. You got mid-carders, you got former champs, you got tag team guys, just a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. And you know who the most popular man in the match was?
Be Jeffrey Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett. The outsider who has publicly stated that he is going to win the match, take the title, and leave. Everybody's cheering him on.
Yeah.
What?
So these poor geeks having to struggle to try to explain the rules, and then having to struggle to keep track of what's going on.
Dude, when I was writing the thing, I flat out said, I'm not going to bother trying to explain these rules. I linked to a YouTube video of the rules, which, by the way, is 2 minutes and 23 seconds long.
Of rules.
So I kind of was thinking, I probably should explain the rules to the people or something. It's my job. Within moments of the match, Josh Matthews flat out said he had no idea what was going on. He had no idea who was eligible, who was not eligible. By my understanding, the best I could do to explain the match is...
No, don't bother.
You have to pin someone to become eligible to do a reverse ladder match. And if you get pinned, you have to spend 2 minutes in a box. You got that? I'm not going to add any more.
That's actually a remarkably succinct summary of this.
Yes. That may be the most succinct summary in the history of this business. I just pulled it off. They didn't do it quite that succinct. But those are the rules.
All right, so the bell rings. I went to the bathroom. I went pee. I blew my nose. And I came back, and Jeff Jarrett had already been pinned.
That's right. The most popular guy in the match immediately pinned.
In his big return, the founder of the company.
Let me tell you the story of this match. I'm gonna cut to the chase. Jeff Jarrett is the most popular guy. Everyone's chanting, "Thank you, Jarrett." Everybody's cheering for him. He gets pinned immediately, gets put in the box. He comes out of the box. He immediately gets pinned a second time and gets put back in the box. Then, when he finally manages to escape the box, which shouldn't be a task in this match, but it is for Jeff Jarrett, then he starts fighting to pin somebody. Because until he pins someone, he is not eligible to even win the match. So they do all these spots. He's trying to get a pin, but someone cuts him off. He tries to get a pin, but someone else steals the pin. He perpetually either gets put in the box or he can't get the pin. Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Honestly,
what
no.
I'm fucking saying is, the story of the match was to make the outsider who wants to win the belt, steal it, and take it away from this company. The match was designed to make him the one you wanted to see win the most. What?
Yeah, that's what happened. All right, so Jarrett gets pinned while I was gone. And then as I was reading about the match on the board, Jarrett got pinned again. He just kept losing and losing and losing. My theory here was he had a cunning plan to tire everyone else out while he waited in the penalty box. Drew Galloway had a DDT onto a ladder that was clearly worse for his back than for the head of his opponent. Jarrett got out of the penalty box and ran wild. I will admit, Jeff Jarrett on the show looked really, really good for a guy who's been doing this for 30 years.
It's like 49 years old or something like that. Now, granted, he spent most of the time in the box, but yes, he did look good.
When he was in there, he stuff he did look good. I mean, He has been doing this for longer than a good chunk of the WWE roster has been alive.
He's 48 years old. But he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't work like an idiot.
No.
He worked to have a long career, and it's paid off.
Yes. So everyone kept getting pinned and going in the box. And okay, here's where I got annoyed. So they do simultaneous pins of Young and Rude. So they go in the penalty box together. And while they are in there, they conspire. We're the two evil Canadians. We should work together. So while that's going on, Jarrett is frantically fighting to keep the other two guys from winning. So the two Canadians get out. They start double teaming everyone to death. It's going great. And then they turn on each other and start fighting. And I'll tell you why that annoyed me here in a minute. Another minute went by. Then Hardy and Galloway both got pinned at the same time. So they go to the box. So you had a storyline here. It could have been very simple. Jeff Jarrett desperately trying to win against overwhelming odds of two evil Canadians both trying to kill him, both eligible to win. And instead, the Canadians just start killing each other.
Yeah.
This story, in a match this convoluted, they had an easy story to tell just for 2 minutes, and they couldn't even get that right. So eventually, Jarrett pinned somebody with a guitar shot. It was Rude. So everyone could win. We had a spot where Galloway and Hardy were fighting on the ladder, and then one guy jumped down, and the other guy jumped down, and then Jarrett hit the empty ladder with a ladder. Somebody's timing was way off there.
The ladders.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was the
ladder. Get the program, ladder.
They bridged a ladder between the apron and the guardrail, and Eric Young actually pile drive Jeff Jarrett onto it.
It actually looked awesome.
That was crazy. Galloway had a dive off the penalty box into three dudes. And all these guys, looking back at this, these guys were beating the hell out of themselves, except Jeff, of course.
They worked very hard. It's just a dumb match.
Jeff did take the pile drive on the ladder. That was nuts. But we were like, all right, it's 7 minutes at the top of the hour. Somebody has to win soon. Come on, guys, take it home. Not because we wanted them to, we wanted the match to end. That's what we want. We selfishly wanted. So, Jarrett recovers from the pile driver, and I'm just going to say what happened. He stroked Young off the ladder. That's what happened. Don't get mad at me. And then he climbed back up, and he hung the belt to win. And the Jarretts, I thought they had brought the Young Bucks into the ring, but it was Kieran and Kurt's kids. Then all their kids, and they celebrated, and that was that.
Far be it for me to criticize anyone for naming their children. But on Wikipedia, it says his children are named Jocelyn, Geraldine, and Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Could you make it more complicated? Maybe it's easy. I can just imagine if I had a Jocelyn, Geraldine, and Jocelyn, I'd fuck it up repeatedly.
George Foreman had 5 sons and named them all George.
Oh. I'm just going to name one black and the other white. I think that'd be the easiest. Black Alvarez and White Alvarez.
What if it's a boy and a girl? You just name them boy and girl.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, this was, they all worked very hard. It was not a bad match. It's just a stupid match. I just think the match is dumb. And it's hard to get into it. Nobody ever talks about King of the Mountain, except for the diehard fans. It's too niche. And that's the problem with TNA. For 13 years, they've just been too niche. That's my conclusion. Show was all right. It was just sad. It felt like greed. WCW greed.
Oh, I thought you...
The last pay-per-view that we ever saw from WCW. People were saying goodbye. It's like, man, there's a lot of denial again. But I think the time is drawing near. And all I'll say is, hey, best of luck to everybody when everything pans out the way it's going to pan out. I should finish with this tweet here from Eric Young. What a tweet. He says, real world, if you watched Slammiversary and didn't like it, go fuck yourself. In all caps. He writes, hashtag pro wrestling, hashtag proud, hashtag 5th day. I guess that means 5 straight days of tapings. Hashtag A game, hashtag team effort.
May I share a tweet?
Sure.
This is 17 minutes ago, Sami Zayn. This is what happens, Larry. This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps.
Oh, man. Well, everybody, that's it. This may be the last one. But hey, that's what we got archives for. And you never know. It's TNA. Something that... This ain't the end. Something's coming.
They're like fucking Dracula.
I don't know what it's going to be.
Sucking life and not dying.
But as Arnold used to say, they'll be back one way or the